So the fairy godmother, she was kind of doing the walk of shame. She really had nowhere to go but the wizard's tower. So she goes back to the wizard's tower. She knows the stepmother's going to be mad at her. But she also kind of knows in her heart she's going to need the stepmother's help to solve this bedbug situation. Since she doesn't have her magic wand, she's really feeling the pressure because she has to get this done. Otherwise, Cinderella's going to be impregnated. Cinderella's promised if this doesn't get done in 3 days, she's going to be getting pregnant by the prince, or at least practicing pregnancy properly. Prince Papa. Well, you could probably come up with a tongue twister there. If you do, at Dearest Scooter or feedback at sleepwithmepodcast.com, I'll figure out a prize for you. So she goes back. She opens the door to the wizard's tower and kind of slinks in. It just so happens it's after midnight, but who's standing there waiting for her to come home but the stepmother and Roland, the former captain of the guard. They're covered in garbage and muck, and they're pissed. Look what the cat dragged in, Roland. You have the gall to come back here. Where did you run off to? Well, I had a meeting with, Cinderella, actually. You met with Cinderella? Did you meet with her as me, or as you kindly, nice-faced? I kind of met with her as both of us, of course, and she thinks we're... Well, you better not have mucked everything up. Stick me in the muck as a maggot, and we're rolling around in there together. Thanks. Oh, and by the way, fairy godmother, an interesting thing happened when we were in that bucket full of muck. All of a sudden I heard the bells ringing midnight. Bong, bong, bong. You know, keep going. It keeps going till 12. And suddenly, we weren't maggots anymore. We were back to our old selves. Well, that's kind of like maggots, the two. Yeah, ha, ha, ha. Yuck it up. And then Roland let it slip that when he was you turned him into that beast. Or did I turn him into that beast? When I turned him into the beast, I guess. And he tried to eat the prince's toes. It was midnight when he changed back to human form. So now I know all your spells wear off at midnight. So go ahead, blast me. I wonder if you do it right after midnight. Does it still work and then it lasts all the way? Maybe you shouldn't blast me till later. Oh, can we talk? Can we cease this drama? Believe it or not, I need to ask your help. I need your help. I hate to ask. Whoa, what's with the, you turn us into maggots, you run off, and now you're coming crying home, huh? Well, have a seat. Please, Agatha, I need your help. Roland, I need your help. The princess, she's going to have sex with the prince, and she's going to get pregnant, and then horrible things are going to befall all of us. Cinderella could be killed. The prince will be killed. I could be killed. I could be brought up on charges for failing at my job and brought back to fairyland. And you would definitely be killed. Think about it, that muck monster. What are they going to send next? Please. Calm down. Why don't you just give me your wand, and I'll just figure everything out, sweetie. Little Penelope. Just give it all to Agatha. Mistress of the king, Mistress Agatha, witch of the kingdom. I wish there was a better term for that. It's like wizard, warlock, witch. Huh? But anyway, I'll think of something. But right now I'm Mistress Agatha. So just give me the wand, and I'll solve whatever your problems are. We're going to have Roland over there in a jiff, and he's going to impregnate Cinderella. Whoa, wait, Miss Agatha, only if... I will not commit any acts of indecency without the full participation of the princess. Roland, shh. Oh, yeah, I'll give you my wand in a bit. Just, please tell me you'll help me. What do you mean you give me your wand in a bit? Why don't you just wave your wand and fix... What's the problem? Tell me the problem. Well, Mr. Agatha, she says... She'll have sex with the prince, or make sweet love, I think she said, and sweet pregnant. She said she was going to be as pregnant as a murder of crows. I don't even know what that means. Like a kitten, a litter of kittens inside her. But she said if I don't get rid of all the bed bugs in the poor sections of town, for all the poor of the town, all the every villager pretty much, she's gonna get, she's gonna, and then we'll be all doomed. Okay, well, why don't let's take your wand. We'll both hold it together, and we'll go down there, and we'll wave a little spell, and we'll turn all the bed bugs into some slow-moving thing, and we'll just gather them up and be gone. It'll take us a few hours. If we do it now, we'll have till midnight tomorrow, correct? According to my calculations. So let's get right on that. What could we turn them into, Roland? What do you think? Turtles, ma'am. Turtles or tortoises are very slow creatures. Well, have I done well? You're Roland, you nincompoop. That's a good idea, though. Yeah, maybe fish, because they wouldn't be in the water. Anyway, let's get that. Well, Cinderella's banned me from using magic. Well, she's banned you. Right, exactly. She doesn't ban me, so just give me the wand and I'll take care of it. Well, she kept the wand. You lost my magic wand? Well, it's my magic wand, Your face looks like it's pulled back even tighter than normal. Your hairs, you should loosen that bun. It's gonna... Shut. You lost the wand. My wand. I'm the wizardess of the kingdom. You're gonna make me a fool. Oh, well, I suppose I have no choice but to help you. All right. Now here's what's going to happen. We have 3 days. Is sunset or sunrise? I guess 3 sunsets from now. I don't know. Okay. We're gonna go to bed. We're all gonna sleep. We're gonna get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow we'll head down to the inn at the crossroads into town, and we'll figure all this out. And you'll get me that wand if I figure this out. You got that? Godmother, fairy godmother? Oh, of course. Shh, what was that? Did you hear some rumbling? We're going to get some... No, I can't possibly sleep. Okay, here. I'm going to go in my cabinet, take this out. And Roland, you should probably drink some of this too, because you don't do us... Okay, drink this. There you go, sweetie. Okay, now you go and lie down. You'll go right to sleep. What is it you fed me? They call it Sazarp. It's opiate and alcohol mixed together. It'd be fine. Roland's already fallen down, and he only smelled it. Okay, so chop. They all go to bed. The next morning, they wake up and they head over to the inn at the crossroads of town. Now, this is the inn that the innkeeper married one of Agatha, the stepmother's daughters. She married one of her daughters off to the innkeeper. He's since retired his son and his daughter. No, that's not possible. Yeah, so she's married her daughter off to the innkeeper in exchange for, dinner when she needs it, and dinner and drinks every night. And Agatha, it's been a while since Agatha's been at this inn, so they've missed her. So they show up for brunch. And, oh, Agatha, we've heard, we saw your magical duties. Oh, and they're all bowing, and it's like she's a celebrity. Oh, miss, we've always believed in you. They're a little bit scared of her, and I think they were in the past, if we could sit in on it. But she was also kind of like not a gangster, but she kind of had that thing where she'd sit in the corner and people would bring her their problems to her. The problems they didn't want anybody else to know about, and she'd solve them. So, meanwhile, everyone's gathered around, and, some of the guests from out of town are like, who's that? And they're like, oh, it's the witch of the kingdom come to visit us and check on everything, and I hope everything's in order. Oh, Mr. What is your favorite table, and who are these your guests? Are these your guards? This here's my assistant, Penelope. She's my chambermaid. And this here's my, I don't even know what to call him, my Roland. So... thank you for your hospitality and keep. How's my daughter? Oh, she's alive, Mr. Agatha. She's still sleeping right now. Figures. Okay, well, we're gonna, chat around. We're gonna spend the whole day here. Oh, what fool the king or the queen or the princess be by? Is this official visit? Will there be any magic work? No, no, no. Actually, well, have a seat. Let's talk candidly. I need you to talk around to all your guests, and I need you to think. Princess has us on a special mission just for the princess, a secret mission. And it's to get rid the town of bedbugs. Oh, well, Mr. Shagatha, only the poor have bedbugs, They were a scourge of the kingdom for a while, and then, the priests or something, they cast some sort of prayer spell, and, we burned that effigy of that one giant bedbug, and since then, I think they've only bothered the poor folk. I think there might have been, I can't remember. So then that was before. Okay. I need you to ask everyone that comes in here how they keep, who has had bed bugs. What do you do? How do you keep bed bugs out of your hand? Oh, well, I judge a man by his outfit and the coin in his pocket, and if bed bugs are discovered, I just I call in the priest. They charge that temple down the road. It's called the temple, the abominable insect or something of the like, and they get rid of them. Okay. So the temple gets rid of them. Now what do they use? Some sort of smoke and incense, and they chant. And okay, well, I want you to ask around for any other cures. What? And okay, so you get this. How come they don't? How come then the whole poor part of the village is not clean? Why don't these priests, this Church of the Infernal Insects, why didn't they go down there and clean up? Oh, well, they say it's the scourge of the poor. Well, I thought, I'm not a religious woman, but I thought religions were in service to the poor or something. No. That's just a stereotype, Mr. Sagatha. No. They charge for their services. Their religion needs coin to deal with the infernal insects. And their god is a bug-eyed lord that dislikes insects. I don't practice a religion, but yes, they expect to be paid for their services, so the poor cannot pay. Therefore, they're stricken. Okay, well, anyway, I can't get, what is this debate that you're getting me into? Okay, I need to interview everyone. We're going to source all your customers. I want to know every other cure other than these infernal insect religious folks of what we can do to get rid of these bed bugs. Got it? Okay, we'll be here all day. And so they spend the whole day there. And most of the stuff is a twist on that, like, oh, it's the poor, they're not clean enough. Oh, it's the poor, and they spend too much time in the mud, and baby insects are on them. Or, oh, the poor, they don't wipe, or they don't wash their hands. Or it's what they eat, it's their poor diet. Too much soda, or whatever they called it back then. So it's always the poor people's fault. And I'm not trying to be, bleeding heart person here, I'm just telling you the facts. So most of the middle class folks rolling through here, the traders, the working class, they're saying, it's a disease of the poor. It's basically their bed bug thing. And yeah, this religion gets rid of it when the poor people bring it to them. And the, stepmother, she's not too pleased. So, but it's getting towards night. So it's getting towards the evening. So she calls a meeting with Roland and the stepmother, the fairy. She calls a meeting with Roland and the fairy. Okay, what have you two found about these? Is it the same thing? Everyone you talk to saying, oh, it's the poor, blah, blah. Oh, I'm afraid the way people are looking at me that one of these men could be a spy sent to slice our throats open. Okay, Roland, you just watch out for her and her. She's losing her marbles. Every 3 hours, give her a sip of this, and then you two just come on. We're gonna go to bed, go back to the tower. We're gonna sleep, and then we're gonna go into Port Town. So they get in a good night's sleep, and the next morning they get up. They go to the poor sections of town, and they tell them They tell them what they're doing. We're on an expedition from Princess Cinderella here, and we're here to try to get rid of your bed bugs. And we brought some things along. We would like to try them out. So they go into some bedrooms. Poor people kind of think this is odd. This strange, ugly-faced woman and this drunken, obliviated, puffy-faced kind of donut baker are rolling around, and they're going in and looking under their beds and rolling around in their beds and trying to do incense and blow incense into the beds. They're bringing cats in to see if cats will eat them, heating up the room with tons of coals, and they're opening all the windows. They're bringing all the beds out into the sun and doing stuff all day long. What else? Water, singing, screaming, chanting. They try a bunch of chants. Oh, we out a bed bug. Stuff like that. Drums, birds, rats. They check rats for bed bugs too. They try all these things, and then then they're like, okay, we'll come back tomorrow. So then they go home, and they get ready to go to bed. And Fairy Godmother's already passed out 'cause she's been drinking that Cesar. And Roland's, he's like, ma'am, I'm feeling, I think I need a bath. I'm feeling scratchy. And then Agatha's like, oh, I was trying to ignore it. We got the bed bugs. We got them. And then looks, and she's got bed bugs crawling all over her, in her clothes. And Roland's got the bed bugs too. And they look, the Fairy Godmother's covered in them. They're biting her like crazy because she's passed out. So they don't sleep a wink. And the next morning, she's like, we're figuring this out. Roland, take off all your clothes. And she goes in, she's like, stay in your room, and I'm going to get rid of these bed bugs. He's itching and rolling. She starts to do experiments on Roland. She starts like beating him, making him run around and sweat, pouring hot wax on him, putting different other bugs on him, like ants and stuff. She tries this for days and days. Not days. She tries over and over, everything you can think of. Hot water, cold water, ice water. Dogs licking him, horses licking him, pigs licking him, mud baths, acid baths, hot oil baths, everything. And by the time the night comes, they still have the bed bugs. So then she's like, okay, she's out of her mind. They go into the poor section of town, and she's like asking them how do they sleep. And they're like, oh, you just toss and turn all night in the straw, and then we just learn to live with it. So they stay in the poor section of town. I totally don't get it why they did that, but meanwhile they're sharing a room, the three of them, 3 straw mats, and tossing and turning. Meanwhile, Fairy Godmother's still drunk and high on the opiates, and she keeps waking up, and she's positive there's giant bed bugs in the room, and maybe they're crawling on her eyeballs. Maybe that's why. So she's running around screaming, and the stepmother's still trying to give her more opiates. And it's like, okay, now they're down to 24 hours. And she's like, damn, and then that next morning they're even worse. Like, there's bed bugs everywhere. So the next morning gets there, and they're covered in bed bug sores. They've got bed bugs on them. They have, straw pokes, because they've either been sleeping on straw, and the Fairy Godmother had a burlap sack with straw stuffed in it because they felt bad since she was kind of out of her mind. But so they got cuts and wounds and bed bugs, and they're irritable. And the Fairy Godmother she's like, I was just in the chamber room. There's a giant bed bug in there, and he's looking at me. His name's Bernie, and he said he wants. He's gonna eat us all. And she's like, Roland, go in the bathroom and check. Just go show her there's no bed bug in there. There's no giant bed bugs. Okay. I'm gonna gather up a sack of these bed bugs, and I'm gonna have to. I'll sneak. Mistress Agatha, you better have a look in the chamber room. Well, why do I need to look? Because let me guess, there's a giant bed bug in there. There's the irony. Yeah. How'd you know? Because it's what's it doing? Just kind of sitting there. It's not very I don't think they're made to move around in big size or something. So it's just sitting there going, something like that, and staring at me. It tried to move and eat me or something, but I don't know. I think it's too big, because it's used to sucking our blood or whatever, so it can't really suck my blood. Wouldn't doing it. I don't know. You want to go in and talk to it? Okay, Roland. You got that Church of the Infernal. Okay, I've got a plan. Throw that bed bug. Let's get the burlap sack that the fairy godmother was sleeping on, and I'll go in the chamber pot. So they go in the chamber pot. They shove this giant bed bug into it. It weighs probably like 120 pounds. They wrestle it, and they get into a couple burlap sacks, and they go down. They get a wheelbarrow. They throw it in the wheelbarrow. It's like, okay, let's push it up the hill. So they head up the hill into the middle class, the religious district, past a couple temples, a couple oracles and stuff, and they get to this Church of the Infernal Insect. And she's like, let's check around back. This has got to be where the temple priests or whatever they call them here live. So they find like where the priests live. I think it's, I don't know what they called it back then, priest's house, or I don't even Templars. I don't know what they call them. But so they find out where he lived. They sneak in, and they find one guy just sitting eating his breakfast, drinking some coffee or tea or whatever. And he said, "Hello, can I help you, ma'am? Ladies, church's not open at this time. You can go around back for your offerings." They go, "Oh, really? Well, we need to know all you know about getting rid of bed bugs." "Well, that's the spiritual knowledge of the infernal insect. You must become a supplicant to the insect. Do make the insect angry. By asking such questions, you must become an initiate and go off and live at our sequestered cloister and learn the ways of the insects. So we could get rid of it. If you have bed bugs, ma'am, we would be happy to get rid of it. We'll just charge you a coin or 4 of gold. Whatever you can afford." He said, listen. Get rolling. Lock the doors. And the fairy godmother's kind of in there. Blah, 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 blah. "So you got a woman here speaking tongues. Bed bugs. There's a giant bed bug in the bag. Has she been eating any shit? Was she kicked out or something? I've heard of this. I think she might be possessed by bugs." The fairy godmother, Roland's blocking the door, and fairy godmother pulls the sacks off, and the giant bed bugs slopped on the floor. And she grabs the guy by the back and pushes his face towards it. And she's a pretty strong stepmother. And the thing's like, oh no. What is this? You know what it is? It's a bed bug come back to get you for killing all its brethren. We're going to feed you to it. She grabs his hand. She holds it right by its mouth, and it's snapping, and it's got like sort of pincers and pokers, and it rips one of its fingernails off, and eats it, and it's sliming on him, and it's working up, and it's terrifyingly. It's like the worst elements of a maggot and an earwig if you combine the two to be the most horrible. But and this guy's just, "I'm so sorry. What can I do?" She's like, I need to know how to get rid of these dang bed bugs, regular size ones. And he tells her that he goes, "Oh, we have this storage. We have this poison smoke we use, and it kills them all." She's like, okay, so that'll kill them all. Well, we're gonna need some of that poison smoke. Well, just go ahead and take it. And then the stepmother, she's thinking long game, so she's like, "Now these aren't gonna come." "Well, no, they won't. If you kill them once, they don't come back unless someone else infested lives there." She's like, "Well, this whole poor town's infested. So I can't guarantee. Well, how do you prevent them from keep coming back other than, oh, I'm not sure. It's like, we smoke out the beds and then we dust all the dead bodies off the beds and they're gone." Meanwhile, it's gotten late, and whatever magical power, because this bedbug's probably to scare the fairy godmother into I don't know, some sort of magic related to the fairy godmother and keeping Cinderella from getting pregnant. But instead of midnight, this magic must wear off at noon, because all of a sudden that bed bug shrinks and disappears into the burlap sack. And the guy's still freaked. She's like, I can turn it right back anytime I want. And she's go gather us enough smoke. So this guy goes in the storeroom, and then they start taking him. Meanwhile, this stepmother is still thinking. Her brain's always working, and she's like looking at the burlap sack, and not only does it have the one that shrunk, but it's just got all these bedbugs crawling in and out of its burlap, the weave and the burlap. And then she's like thinking of how the hay pokes out, straw pokes out of the burlap sack and pokes them, and she thinks about how itchy she is. Then she looks down and she knows she's a beautiful silk dress on, and that there's bedbugs crawling on her silk dress, and when she brushes them off, they just fall off, and there's other ones under her silk dress, but they're not able to get in and out. And then she starts thinking about the mattresses of the different classes and how poor people either sleep on a burlap sack full of straw or straw. Middle class and rich people sleep on stuff that's like silk or satin, stuffed with straw, or more likely like some sort of cotton or something more comfortable. And she's like, that's it. So she puts two and two together. She's like, we need to change. So we can smoke Poor Town out, but we need to replace all the mattresses. And, summarize after that. Once her brain starts working, she calls Cinderella, or whatever. She goes up and tells Cinderella's handlers that she needs, they need to run a silk drive and get silk from all the merchants and all the wealthy people that have silk to donate, and they need to make all these mattresses. So they go on this giant mattress drive. Cinderella hears about it, so she gives them a couple extra days. And every poor person's told to line up, and they're each given a brand new silk and cotton. I don't know if they had cotton, silk and sheep's shear. What do you call that? Wool mattress. And then, they're told not, they move out of they smoke out Poor Town with the goods they took from the Church of the Infernal Insect. And that's it. That's the end of the bedbug infestation. Once the poor people, it took a couple more tries. I'm telling you in retrospect, as I am the keeper of these legends, I guess. But so they smoke out, kind of like not as fancy as like, Breaking Bad when they're, insect bombing those houses, but they keep, they get rid of them. And meanwhile, this legend starts to spread from the poor people. They're so appreciative. Going your whole life being harassed by bedbugs to now being lying back in a peaceful bed of finest wool and silk. They just feel like every night they're floating, and there's no more itching, and there's no more bugs crawling on them. There's no more straw poking at them. They're just resting and sleeping and having, making love sometimes, as people are wont to do, or jumping on beds, as some people do, kids and adults, napping, but mostly just getting a solid night's sleep. No more tossing or turning. Just feeling like soft material against their skin as their body sinks down, and the world just seems to start to float away. You're just sinking in. You're drifting. You're drifting. Kind of like one of those docks you see in a movie. It's just offshore. And your life has changed. You've gone from one stage to the other when you can swim out there without parental supervision, without help. Then you get to the dock and you just lie down. And you're basking in the sun. The dock's floating. It's rocking. It's rocking back and forth. But this dock's not made of wood. It's made of silk and lamb's wool. It's like a little cloud, which is the most overused word in this podcast, but it's so sleepy. It's like sleeping on a giant sheep. A clean sheep that doesn't smell bad and has a great temperament to just parade around with you on its back and a wider back to support you. And they're just floating. And that is how the bed bug problem was solved. Good night. Okay, ready? Oh my goodness. They're being chased. It's the stepmother, the fairy godmother rolling. They're running down this forest path. And behind them is a rolling and thundering behind them. Like the earth is shaking and they're running. And there's just blah, 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 thundering. But it's going too fast to be like just one giant. It's like, because he'd be like, boom, 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 boom. Or not even that fast, I guess. Boom, 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 boom. So, but something's like, and they're running, and they're terror. They're looking over their shoulders. And finally, Roland trips over a branch or something. And he's there, and he's like, ah! And then you see it come down this small hill in this woods. Is a giant, I mean, we're talking giant, like 20 feet tall, 5, 6, 7 feet wide, wheel of Swiss cheese. And it's rare, and to see a uncut wheel of Swiss cheese. But you can picture it in your mind, right? A perfectly round, just like a wagon wheel, but made of Swiss cheese and solid. And it's rolling right toward Roland, and he's like, ah! And the Swiss cheese seems to be somewhat sentient, because it like pauses, hops once, and then boom, picks up pace, and right before it gets to him, it must have been so sentient, it lines up a hole and then rolls over him and stops. And he's in there, he's like, "Bah!" He's yelling, but he's muffled by the cheese, and the cheese is just sitting on him. It rocks back and forth like, yeah, I know he got you. You could hear him like hitting the walls, but it's like a dull thump. Like if you've ever been trapped inside of in cheese, you're not beating the wall. I mean, it's like a th. Then it doesn't carry sound well. It might be a good place to record a podcast, actually. I wonder what the cheese acoustics are, but it probably wouldn't be the best environment for my health or smell. Anyway, so let's back up, though. So Roland's trapped in the cheese. Why? What could possibly happen that they were chased by a sentient wheel of Swiss cheese? Well, let's back up, because they had just solved the bed bug crisis. They'd kind of agreed to work together, the stepmother and the fairy godmother. So, not important to this episode, but the stepmother goes up to Cinderella's castle, checks in, and she gets the next assignment. It turns out Cinderella gave her this assignment that kind of had to do with cheese. Not directly, but the northern side of the town they're in, where the king and queen rule, or it's actually a city. Let's not. It's a town. It's got city envy. Okay, it's a big town, but they like to think it's a city. But you go to a city hundreds of miles away, they're going to turn your nose at you if you call Cinderella's from a city. And I know you're wondering the name. I'll get it. I'm not in a hurry to tell you the name of it. I don't want you going digging up this town and stealing its antiquities, you thieves. But anyway, so Cinderella gives them a new assignment. In the northern part of the town is it's built into a hill. So the rich people, of course, live at the top of the hill, and then the middle class, and then it kind of bottoms out into these flats where the poor live, and then it goes into the valley that the rest of the town is in. And at the top where the rich people live, it kind of overlooks this bowl, so like a smaller valley. But for some reason, and it's been a mystery since before Cinderella's time, is that anytime the temperature in the area gets above 85 degrees, somewhere from a couple hills beyond, this smell that they call the cheese smell, it rises up with the humidity, and it comes in from the north somewhere, and it fills up that bowl on the outside of town, and then slowly spills over the northern hills and goes through the rich people's homes and down through the middle class and then settles in the valley. And they call it the cheese smell because it's this horrible, horrible smell that you can't quite put. It's like you can taste it and you can smell it, and it smells like some kind of cheese you would overpay for to impress people at a party. Not even a Limburger. I mean, Limburger's nothing. This is the kind of thing you go to a cheesemonger that's wearing, $600 hipster pants, and he's got, a fixie. Well, fixies are over, but whatever they have now, some custom bike. I guess I'm not here to bash people. Let's just say a cheesemonger, a hell of a good cheesemonger that can charge top dollar. And you say, "Sir, give me your smelliest cheese." And they'll say, "Okay, man, you got it. This smell is like that left out in the sun, and then thrown in the gutter, soaked, marinated, germinated, sporified, whatever, and then left back out in the sun and the humidity again, but on a massive scale, and no one knows what causes it. And since the temperature only busts above 85 degrees in this area, maybe 20, 30 days a year, no one's bothered to research it. There's a lot of old wives' tales or handmaiden tales, whatever you want to call them, about where the smell comes. But Cinderella tells the fairy godmother, stepmother combo, she goes, "I want this cheese smell, I want it gone, It affects the rich people on the top of the hill, and it really affects the poor people on the bottom. And anything that smells that bad just can't be healthy for babies to be breathing and children." Other towns and cities make fun of us. They avoid the northern side. There's a lot of economic effects and the whole broken window effect, if you want to get into some sociology. Cinderella doesn't like it, and she's had it. So she says, you got about a week to get this thing solved. So go figure out this cheese smell. And it's more like a rotten cheese smell, but cheese smell is kind of shorthand. So fairy godmother, stepmother, Roland are out, and they're asking around town, asking at the inn, and they go through a list of crazy stuff, that could be causing it, and they get it down to 3 sensible things. One is like these fruits from this forest that's nearby. It could be that drop out of the trees when it gets hot, and it's the gumdrop forest. So that's not top of the list. Another one is like, that somewhere in these hills are some witches and some sort of, that they cook up stuff when it gets hot, and some sort of witch's brew, some witch's poison. And the other one is there's in the actual graveyard is like the actual bowl in the valley over the northern side of town is an old graveyard, before their modern times, So they're like, oh, maybe it could just be the rotten bodies, or they're not preserved. So they decide to investigate. First thing they do is head out to this gumdrop forest. And Roland is, he's lived in this town his whole life. He knows about the cheese smell. So now he's excited to get rid of it, and always talking about how, they try to blame it on each other. And like it was a cause of self-esteem issues for him, because when he was little, he would smell it and then think it was him. Like, I'm the one that, it's not the air that smells like this cheese smell. It's like, I don't remember having a bodily movement, but man, it stinks. Everybody's going to, you trigger this paranoia. But he also had always dreamed of going to the gumdrop forest and having some gumdrops. They head out to the gumdrop forest, and they get there, they trek, and then they start seeing these trees, and these trees are not dissimilar to something you might see in modern days. They're a little bit unique looking. They have a small furry fruit that falls off the tree that looks a bit like a gumdrop. And unfortunately, when they get there, first thing Roland does is starts eating the fruit, which it's not gumdrops. It was a figure of speech. It wasn't an actual gumdrop forest. Those are off way deeper in the woods by the, where Hansel and Gretel got assaulted by that crazy woman. So so he eats a couple of them, but he doesn't get sick. So that's their first. And they're like, well, they're trying to figure out if the fruit rots. So they take a bunch of fruit with them, and they bring it out, and they smash it up on some rocks and leave it on the sun, and they just take turns smelling, and it kind of smells more like it's fermenting, so it smells more like rotten beer or wine that's been left out for too long. But boom, not the gumdrop forest, not the suspect. So next thing they do is they climb the hills and they start investigating these caves. And of course Roland has to go first. He's a swordsman, supposedly. We've never seen him in action, but he was the captain of the Princess's Guard at one point. So he's leading them into these caves. And it's like a cave complex. They're not finding any caves. You know, they find some animal habitats, some town people that have moved out of the town that are either, you know, between houses or a couple people that have addiction issues. But they don't find any witches. And they ask the people in the caves. They say, oh, it's further on, further on. So finally they trek around these double switchbacks and they find these big bushes, and just beyond the bushes there's a couple more turns, a hidden trail, and they find this cave system and they go in. So they find these witches in there. There's 3 witches, and they're very harsh-looking women. When they get there, they do happen to be working on some sort of witch's brew. And they see Agatha and the fairy godmother, and they're like, oh, sister, sister. And the fairy godmother freaks out. She's like, oh, no, I'm not a... And then they're saying it to Agatha. And they're like, oh, we heard about you, sister, how you've conquered. You know, you bring us good graces. And they're like, we'll have a feast tonight. You know, sit tonight. We'll have all. And be honest, like, whatever they were cooking did not smell good. It didn't smell like cheese. But, you know, you just see rats' tails poking out of there. And these witches, they hadn't had a guest. And they were so pleased that someone finally took the time to, like, clear the name of the witches. Like, that Agatha had legitimized them somehow. She's got this job, and they were saying, you know, you spent the whole night telling tales about how, you know, being burned by children or attacked by heroes. And like, what do? We just sit in this cave. Like, we've been working on these. All we work on is love potions, and people come and buy them. And yeah, then they come back that they don't work. So that's our crime. But we're trying to master a love potion for ourselves. Look at us, we're monsters. You know, we're spinsters. And you know, one of us wants to give birth to a child. And you know, they said, you know, we're lonely. So they're so happy. So they have this big meal with like roast toad stew and candied eye of newts was for dessert. The main course was like stuffed bullfrog, whatever that thing that bullfrog blows up. They stuffed that with rat's meat, I think, probably. But I think it was like with a mole or something. So, you know, it wasn't bad. And, you know, it felt good for them. It was an act of and they were so happy. You know, they're like, oh, Cinderella, you know, we hate that cheese smell, and people blame us for that too, and they call us dirty, and blah blah blah. And you know, hang a lantern on it, because Agatha was touched that they were touched, and she kind of saw that, you know, maybe she could use them in the future. Roland, they liked him, and they were treating him like a king, and really giving him a lot of attention. So, hang a lantern, we might be back, but not this time, because they don't have the cheese smell there. Next day, they get up, and they head down to these ancient graveyards, and they find this old man who lives in a small wooden cottage, or I guess cottages are always wood. He lives in a stone building, stone abode. What do you call cottages made of wood, right? I don't know. He lives in a stone house. There you go. Boom. Stone house down at the edge of this ancient graveyard, and it's kind of in a bog, and it's got the old mystery mist going, and strange noises, and monsters' tails wiggling around. And they call it the Bog of Death. Not because people die there, but because the dead people are there. And there's, you know, headstones sticking out of there. And he tells them a tale of, you know, that back hundreds of years ago, there was a great war and a great kingdom, and one man to rule them all. And there was a new hope with a princess, and there was an evil lord chasing her down, and then a young man. He was brave, and he had these kooky sidekicks, and there was like this trickster, stud guy, and all sorts of stuff. Great times. But ended up, it was one of those wars where a lot of people lost their lives. Unnecessarily? I don't know. You know how many people die unnecessarily at war? We all know that. And a lot of these people were villagers that got caught between the warring parties and families and soldiers. And he said, they all live here. They tell me they're ghosts. Ghosts haunt the graveyard at night. But he goes, to be honest, I just drink, at night, I drink myself to sleep, so I don't hear nothing. And they're like, well, does the sun ever clear out all this mist? And he's like, yeah, it goes occasionally, like if it gets above 85. And like, whoa, if it gets above 85, clear out this mist. He goes, yeah, it clears out the mist. He goes, it smells awful here. So they spend the next couple days, of course, heaven forbid, or whatever, Hera forbid, they get a cold snap in and it takes extra, and they have to send Roland to ask Cinderella for more time. Not important, but finally they get another heat wave, and the mist rolls out, and it bakes the bog, and it does smell pretty nasty. But again, it's at the bottom of this valley, and it smells like, kind of like, if you ever dug nasty mud out of like water with algae. You know that smell? I don't know if you do. If you do know it, you're shaking your head like, yeah. If you don't, you're like, huh. So if you don't, it kind of smells like, well, if you have a compost pile, it kind of smells like if you've dug into the middle of the compost pile and something like that. Organic, nasty smell. So again, it's more like a muck smell, we'll call it. But we've already used, muck's been overused. That's a vocabulary we've already used in this podcast. So maybe we should call it a swamp smell. There you go. Boom. Swamp smell. So again, they're 0 for 3. So they're kind of feeling down now because they bumped off all the most common solutions they thought they had. The next most popular one at the end was Crazy Zeke's teeth was causing the cheese smell. That when Crazy Zeke would usually get these convulsions and wander off in the woods babbling when the temperature got too high, and they figured he passed out in the woods and the smell leaked out of it. I mean, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You don't have to tell me. So they're fighting, going back and forth, and then, the fairy godmother starts to get, well, what if Cinderella's, we can't fail Cinderella, like, we need to find the cheese smell, she's going to sleep with the prince, she's going to sleep with the prince, she's going to get pregnant, they're going to, lightning's going to strike, we're going to be doomed, so we need to figure this out. And stepmother's like, I'm tired of your piping, like, why don't we just wait and see what happens, what are they going to, and then, of course, rumble, and then they see it, just at the way far in the distance, right on the horizon, looks little because it's far away, little wheel of cheese. Looks like one of those baby bells. And it goes down the hill, miles and miles away, picking up speed. Must be a spiteful wheel of cheese because it goes across the bog of death, crushes some innocent dead people, crushes that guy's house, his stone house. And because it's like a hard cured Swiss, at least on the outside, it's rind free, so you can see the holes. No rind. It's chucking rocks as it's rolling, but nothing's digging into it. And then it's headed right for them. So they're, oh my God, the cheese is after us. So they start running. Luckily for the townspeople, I guess they were running the wrong way. So they're running, and then they're hiding behind trees. And then they're dodging out, and then boom, the cheese is pretty smart. Like whoever's controlling the cheese, or like I said, is it sentient? I don't know. Is it, is it doppelganger or something else? Is the cheese? But so they're running, trying to get away from this cheese. And finally, we catch up to like where they are deep in the woods at the top of this other valley. And they're thinking that, that Roland remembered from his childhood, that over the next hill was this river, and they could get to the river, and the cheese would drown, maybe. I don't know. Does cheese float? I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, if you've been to a pool party and you know if cheese floats, let me know. I would think Swiss cheese would be a good shot, that it would float because it has some buoyancy. But then again, it's not a baby Swiss with the baby holes. It's a, Swiss with the big ass holes. But anyway, right now as we speak, Roland's trapped and he's like thumping on the cheese. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And the stepmother and the fairy godmother, stepmother, she's no dummy. She's like, okay, we're going to have to face the cheese. Kind of like facing the music. It's time to face the cheese. So she's like, fairy godmother, come on. Let's see. She was trying to think if they could lure it to chase her and then jump out of the way. But now it's got Roland. And finally she's like, Roland, you fool, Roland. Eat the cheese. Eat the cheese. Get a dagger. And so I guess Roland's on the inside, and Roland, he's the accidental hero or whatever. So gets out his dagger and he starts stabbing the cheese, and he's eating it. And the cheese isn't liking it, but then he's got his, dagger into it, and because the way the cheese is and the Roland's eating it, he starts eating his way through one of the holes, and then the cheese is like wobbling. The cheese is like wobbling because he's like eating through one of the side portions, just enough that it's like the cheese is off balance, and it's like, whoa, boom, cheese falls on its side. It's trying to get back up, and it's a heavy wheel of cheese. Whoever started it figured it would stay in balance, and it's not in balance anymore. So cheese is on its side, and everyone's like, okay. But the cheese is still trying to get up, so they're like, sooner or later this cheese is going to get up. And they're like, okay, well, they're like, what if we get it up, and then we'll just roll it right into the river? And the cheese is like shaking, like, no, not me, man. And then Roland takes another bite of it just because he's Roland. He's like, this is quite nice cheese, it's sharp. So they decide on a plan to push the cheese to the edge of this hill and roll it all the way down into the river and hopefully drown it. So they get the cheese and they're pushing it on its side. It's really hard. All three of them are pushing and pushing and pushing. And then they realize that's not going to work, but they're afraid, if they put it upright, the cheese will just roll them over. So they just keep pushing and pushing. They're getting more and more tired. And finally, this old man just happens to be walking in the woods. He happens upon them. He's like, excuse me, folks, you pushing the cheese there? They're like, oh, yeah, we're pushing the cheese. We're going to push it over this hill. It's a giant wheel of evil Swiss cheese that's trying to kill us. It's probably from another country or something. Oh, evil cheese, eh? Well, fancy that. Well, I if you kill it, I would love to have its body. I don't know. I'd love to do. So if you could push it, I could help you push it. And how are you going to kill it again? And they're like, Roland's like, well, we're just gonna, we're gonna push it into the river. Oh no, the river's no good. It'll float away. That won't do me any good. He's like, come on, let's get it to the edge. So they get to the edge. As soon as they get it to the edge, they get hit by the cheese smell. Like, boom. And they're like, oh my God, did the cheese just crap itself? Like, oh God. And all three of them are on the ground, like, oh. And even, if the cheese could make a noise, it'd probably make like a, but even the cheese was kind of making a noise, like disgusted. And the old man, he's like, what's wrong with you folks? Like, oh God, this, the smell, it's the cheese has gone bad so fast. And the cheese is shaking. It's not me, man. It's not me. I don't stink this bad. I'm fresh Swiss cheese. I'm just evil. And I'm not even evil. I'm just a tool of someone. But anyway, cheese aside, he goes, oh, no. See down there? Just to the side of the river. Because you see those smokestacks there? He goes, that smells my factory. Like, what do you mean you smell? Like, oh, it smells like rotten cheese. He goes, oh, no, no. He goes, that's why I wanted the cheese for. It was not for the cheese, but for I'm going to render the fat out of it. He goes, I go around these kingdoms and all the sickly animals. From every kingdom wide, I fill my wagon with the sick and the dying animals. Sometimes the sick and the dying folks, the poor folks says. And I fill my wagons with the sick. And the animals no one wants, the lame. You know, the one-legged the cows born with no nipples. Udderless cows. You know, it's a congenital defect, you know. So I take them and I keep them down there. And yeah, I keep them out there in the sun so they tend to stink a bit. And, you know, it smells up and don't bother anybody. So I don't see like, what the hell are you doing in that factory down there? You know, yeah, you know, what are you making, like, that, out of something that smells so awful? Like, what are you, you know, what could you, oh, well, pleased to meet you. And he pulls out his card and he says, so he hands him his card and says, Fair ye grandmother's soaps, royal soap maker. He goes, I'm pleased to meet you. I'm the royal soap maker. Been in my family for generations. So, and they're like, well, you know, the smell, it creeps down to our town. You know, it's really gross and it can't be, you just got those animals out dead at, like pens of dead animals rotting in the sun. That's disgusting. It's going to create some disease like the green plague or the purple cholera or whatever. You know, you can't just do that. He goes, well, yes, I can. My family's done it for generations. We're very wealthy people. We make the soap for the royals, the royal soaps for all the kingdom, every royal. Well, why, you know, why, I never heard of these soaps. Oh, exactly. You know, are you royal? Do you have any royal blood? Then you haven't used the royals like the soap made from the finest fats, and they have to be rendered, and like the animals need to be cooked up slowly, and then I take the fatty fats and whatever I can get, and I gloss it away, and I purify it, and I mix it, and it does smell wonderful. You'd be surprised at the stink. I don't smell it anymore. I've smelled it for years, since I was a boy. But yeah, so that's what we do, and you know that's why it smells so good. But you know, it's make soap for the richest of the rich, and they need the finest soaps in the world. And the stepmother's just like, this guy is a fucking jackass. And she takes him and she shoves him in one of the holes of the Swiss cheese. Picks up the Swiss cheese herself, pushes it on it, and then pushes it down the hill right at his factory. The thing picks up, you know, can't control itself. It's going about 10,000 miles an hour. Boom, it's a factory. Boom, blows up like cheese, fire, dead animals. Like, whatever was inside the core of the cheese was some sort of lava-related wizard fire with, 40 hit point roll to strike death and destruction, because the whole area just goes... And after all only thing raining down is bones. So everything's been rendered off, because whatever, chemicals he was using and gasolines or whatever, boom, just wipes it out. And that's it. So that was the end of the soap factory. A couple of days later, the cheese smell drifted off. They went back to the village, and as they went, they told the townspeople what had happened. And the townspeople, they went back to. They ended up back at the end telling everybody, toasting the three of them. They really got along on this one because they were against this cheese and the cheese smell. But, the people at the end were kind of like, gee, we've been suffering from this cheese smell so they could have fancy soaps in that castle. Thank goodness for Cinderella, Everyone's like, pissed. Like, that damn darn king and his son have been, bathing in peppermint and tea tree and pomegranate mixed with lime and, acacia, combined with blueberry, combined with death, apparently. But so we could just deal with the stink on the north side? These jerks. Thank goodness you and Cinderella got you guys to get rid of that dump. So everyone was pleased. So, and, that's how we're going to leave the episode, because I'm going to tell you a little story, a real story. Because tonight's story, pretty much the first time, it's based on a real thing that happened to me. I lived in East Los Angeles in a while back, 2000. I don't know, a while, end of the 90s, beginning of the aughts, somewhere in there. And that's where the cheese smell was. And I think it had to hit above 90 something, but where I lived in East Los Angeles, that smell would descend on the city. And it was a rumor, like, is it this graveyard up the hill, or is it this? Is it these acacia trees or ginkgo biloba trees? And it turned out it was a rendering plant that I think was on the Los Angeles River. And I remember reading an article about it and telling people about it, but like after I'd moved out away from East Los Angeles. And it was really disgusting. And it was like, it's one of those cases where kind of poor people get the short staff, because this guy had these open pits of dead animals that he had bought, and he was always in violation. I'm saying this guy, it probably wasn't just some guy like Bernie the soap man. I don't even know if a soap factory is a rendering factory, but that's what it causes. Like, he'd leave. Well, actually, let's not get into the details. But yeah, it's based on a true story. So, a little piece of me is now with a little piece of you. I don't know that it's necessarily a good thing, but I hope that story didn't disgust you, but warmed your heart, that we were able to kill a royal soap maker, destroy his factory, and get rid of a stinky smell. So, have a good night and get a good night's sleep, okay? Thanks for listening so much. Okay. This episode finds us with yet another mission. And the stepmother has returned from meeting once again with Cinderella. Poor Cinderella, who kind of still thinks that she's confused. Her gut tells her there's a fairy godmother and a stepmother, but the stepmother and the fairy godmother kind of have her under this ruse that, they're one and the same. When the fairy godmother met with her, this task was well beyond compare to the last ones. And that's why I've moved into my action, serious voice. Plus I have a spot of a cold, I believe, which adds an extra grittiness. So the stepmother met with Cinderella, and Cinderella asked her to sit down. She said, "Are you familiar with the wood of woe?" The stepmother said, "Wood of woe? Is that similar to the wood of worry?" She goes, "Oh yeah, it used to be the wood of worry," Cinderella said, "but I decided to change it to the wood of woe. You haven't read my official decree? It didn't make sense to call it the wood of worry, because anyone that enters never comes back, ever. Why would it be the wood of worry if someone goes in there, like say your husband goes in? You're not going to worry about him, you're going to be filled with woe, not worry, because he's gone." Some other was kind of like, okay, so, okay. Makes sense. I got you. Brilliant. You're brilliant, Cinderella. Brilliant. Wood of woe. Formerly the wood of worry. But wouldn't it be like I'd be worried now that you're talking about the wood of woe? I'm worried because I got a feeling. Well, you're right. You see, just on the outside of the wood of woe, that whole wood is impenetrable. Soldiers that go in there never come back. It's guarded by these dark forces. These dark forces got to be controlled by something. So that's what I'm going to get to. But the reason for your task is that this wood of woe, it goes directly to the sea. It's a straight shot. So we could build a road through there. If it wasn't the wood of woe, it was just woods. You know where those bears live, like the forest of feelings? They don't bother anybody. They hide. So if we just had a road right there, we could go right to the sea, to the port. Instead, we got to go way around. It's a 3-day hike. Just on the other side of the wood of woe are these towns that are deprived of supplies. It's a major trading route is what I'm saying, stepmother. And we need it opened up for commerce. It's going to help all the people. Cheaper food it's going to lower prices. And it's going to make new markets available to our goods. A more efficient trading route is always good for everybody. Trickle down. But not really, because I'm taxing the hell out of these motherfuckers. So
That's my plan. Anyway, let's not get into politics. I'm the politicker. You're carrying out my wishes, fairy stepmother. So I want the wood of woe dealt with. Find out what the worry and the woe is. I'm pretty sure there's got to be someone in charge of those woods. Probably one of those big bosses. You know, a dragon or evil wizard or somebody. So get in there and take care of it. So that's the assignment. This is Scooter's voice, not Cinderella. Stepmother goes back to give the word to Roland and the fairy godmother who are waiting back at the wizard's tower. And they ask her, and she's worried about telling them about the wood of worry or the wood of woe. And so she introduces, you guys know that wood of worry? The name was changed to the wood of woe. Roland, of course, loves. Ooh, that sounds like something Cinderella would think of. That's so brilliant, because why would you call it the wood of worry, right? If you're going to go in there, you're going to be filled with woe, huh? And the stepmother just looks at Roland and tells him to shut up. And you're right. Well, apparently it's blocking a major trading route, and we got to deal with it. We got to go in there. Well, no one's ever come back. Well, Roland, quiet down. We got to go in there. We got to figure out who's in charge, and we got to take them out. The fairy godmother's kind of quiet. And she's like, Penelope, you got any opinion on this? You're awful quiet over there. Well, we were fairies. We've never had any jobs in there, and I've heard of it, the wood of worry. In fairyland, we just call it the wood of death. I don't see. I've been so long without my wand, and can you guys just do it without me? No, we can't do it without you, because all these assignments are to do your job. We're helping you do your fairy job in order to keep Cinderella from getting pregnant. You realize if we don't get this done, she's going to have sex with the prince, get pregnant. You're going to help us out. Well, Agatha, you're good at this kind of stuff. I'm just, without my magic, without my wand, I just rather lie down, okay? I'll just lie down and you guys work out the plan, and then I'll come along. So Agatha kind of rolls her eyes, and Penelope, the fairy godmother, goes and lies down. She's a little bit down in the dumps. Now Roland, he's always willing to help. Agatha's kind of like, this is really important, Cinderella, we get this done. I was like, well, what you got a plan? You got a plan, boss? Here's what I think. Let's go out. We're going to go out to the wood of woe. Okay, let's go. So they go out to the edge of the wood of woe, which is a few miles out of town. What could be a major trading route, apparently. Right now they got to travel all the way around. They got to go up the river, which they got to go through some robber baron territory. And the river's secure, so it's not an easy route. It involves some land, what do you call those, land passages, whatever, where you got to carry the boat. Or a long roundabout road around this woods. So technically, it would be a great thing. They go to the edge of the woods, and they're kind of looking, and, Roland's like, I get the sense we're being watched, and, Agatha's like, yeah. And it's like, no one's ever returned, as far as I know, no one's ever returned from this woods, right? Roland's like, no, people that go in don't come back out. Sometimes the bones are found, but that's about it. So stepmother's like, come on, let's go up. See that log? It's like right on the edge of the wood of woe. See how the shadow just barely reaches it. Let's go. I brought us a picnic lunch. I want to talk to Roland about the fairy godmother, Penelope. So they sit on the log having lunch, and Roland's like, there's definitely, I get the sense we're being watched here. Stepmother's like, don't worry, Roland. We're not in the wood of woe or the wood of worry, so we have nothing to be concerned about. Their power, whatever power dark forces are in this woods, they don't have any power right here. Maybe if we step into that shadow, maybe. I'm pretty sure you got to walk a little bit deeper into the wood of woe. I've heard tales of kids running in and out at just the beginning and daring each other, and then one time the kid runs too far. You've heard that tale, right? Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the kids, they used to make me run in there, ma'am. And I used to run in a bit, but I'd run right back out. But I never ran too far. So, well, here, sit down. Let's finish our lunch. We're already sitting. Roland, are you worried about the fairy godmother like I am? Oh, yes, ma'am. She seems a bit down. Well, that's because, she doesn't have her all-powerful wand, the all-powerful fairy we have working for us, right? Well, yes, she was all-powerful until she lost her wand, so it seems like... And then you were using the wand, so the wand... Are you trying to say, Roland, that her wand just creates this great power, and whoever holds the wand would have great power too? Yes, I guess I am. All we need to do is, so don't tell anyone. It's going to be our secret. But I have the wand here. I got it from Cinderella. Well, Mom, that doesn't look exactly like the wand. Well, don't worry, it is. And all we need is this. We'll get the fairy godmother out here, and we'll have her use the wand this all-powerful wand, to destroy the Wood of Woe. And then, she can transform all the dark creatures into mice, and we'll just stomp on them. And then whatever creature, dark lord or dark evil wizard or some sort of dragon, some sort of big boss. Instead of having a big boss battle, we'll just create our own, monster and have him go and stomp the boss into submission. We don't even have to fight him because we have this wand and we have a fairy. So either I can use the wand or you I don't know if you should be using the wand, Roland. Well, I just use it to turn myself in a little bit handsomer, and then I'd be alone with Cinderella on a date. Probably like in some boats. Okay, Roland. So, we have the wand. So this has been a lovely lunch, and, we're going to, I think in order to help the fairy godmother, get undepressed, she'll use the wand to crush this Wood of Woe or worry. No reason for us to be woe. It's actually going to be the woodses of woe and worry. Is that correct, Roland? Woodses of woe and worry. The worries of the woods and some. Well, anyway, the woods, or the creatures in the woods, should be filled with worry, and soon they'll be filled with woe. The woods is wood. Is wood multiple woods or wood? Anyway, Roland, let's go. So they go back to the wizard's tower. I'm going to talk to the fairy godmother. So, Penelope, come on, let's go. We're going to go over to the woods of worry and have a little chat. And meanwhile, of course, the little minions that were listening in the dark of the Wood of Woe are getting stuff back to their boss, the big boss. They're getting the word back to the big boss. Meanwhile, Agatha and Penelope go down. Now they go to the edge of the Woods of Woe, but not quite as close. Like they're not in hearing distance. They're just in sight distance of the woods. And she points to the woods. She says, "Listen, I notice you've been down, Penelope. I notice you've been down, Penelope, because you don't have your wand. And Cinderella has a wand, and you're worried about her getting pregnant, and all we have to do is beat this boss, and she swears she won't get pregnant by the prince. And I still have the plan. We're going to have Roland seduce her. As soon as we get this done, we can do that. Roland seems like a malleable man, and we'll train him to seduce Cinderella, or have another plan where I could talk Cinderella into maybe developing her sexual skills with Roland for the prince, and I think that one might work. What do you think? Penelope?" And meanwhile, Penelope, the fairy godmother, is just kind of staring at the grass. And someone's like, "You realize there's dark creatures watching us? Doesn't your fairy sense?" "My fairy sense is gone. My wand is gone. Cinderella's going to be pregnant. We're not going to beat this boss without magic. I don't have any hope left." there's going to be a beast come. He's going to wipe us all out from the fairy dark side or whatever. And I'm going to be a failure. I'm going to be brought up. If I'm not killed, I'll be brought up on charges. I'll have my fairy badge taken away. And, my parents will be shamed. Are your parents still alive? Because you look kind of old. It doesn't matter, okay? I'm the worst fairy godmother ever. And you did get Cinderella in. She is the princess. Before, she was just my Cinder girl. So you beat me. Oh, you've bested me. You have so much respect for me, Penelope. But you were the one who bested me in the first place, and I stand cowed to you still. I try to act strong around you. To be honest, the reason I brought you out here is I have this wand I made for you. And she pulls out a wand, hands it to Penelope, and Penelope kind of looks at it. She's like, well, this isn't my wand. She said, Penelope, I've been doing some research on fairies. Fairy godmothers and godparents in general. And I've read some old texts, and plenty of old texts I've found deep in the dungeons of the Wizard's Tower, where only I go. You and Roland haven't been down there, but I have. And I haven't found one thing about a wand. I believe that what I know, in the books of the old fairies, and that's what it's called, the Fairypedia, says that, the fairies, their power's innate, it's inside of them. And they merely need to flow into something and to be discharged. And maybe, whoever trained you, or maybe I don't know, I think your wand, when they train the youngsters, it's easier to tell them that the wand is magical because it's too dangerous to tell them that the power's in them always, and that they can just imbue some other weapon to translate it. It could be a stone. Did every kid have a fairy that you were training with in fairy school? Well, no, there was wands and staffs and crystals and rings and amulets. Okay, see? So, close your eyes, Penelope. Can you feel an energy flowing through you? No, not really. Well, quiet down your mind. Can you feel some power flowing through you inside of some tubes within your body? With each beat of your heart, it sends the energy, the magical energy throughout your system. Humans don't have that beating of a magical heart or tubes of magical liquid like you do. So close your eyes. And now here, take this wand, put it in your hand. Wrap your hands around it. Feel your energy flowing into that wand. Do you feel the power in the wand? Oh, I believe I do. Now raise your hand up. Raise your hand up and point it towards the sky. Oh yes, I'm feeling the power. Oh yes, I'm feeling the power. Okay, good. Now let's take a walk towards this. We're not going to destroy the Wood of Woe today, but let's get closer to it. Okay, and you just keep your eyes closed and okay, and just stand here. We're a little bit closer. We're right on the edge of the Wood of Woe, but keep your eyes closed and feel that power. Oh, yes, Penelope, you're feeling the power of your magic. Tomorrow, can you feel the power building in your wand? Oh, yes, I feel it building in my wand like I've never before. Like energy ready to be released. Yes, and tomorrow, we'll release it on this forest. And don't worry, trees, innocent trees or birds, if there are any in there. We'll only destroy the darkness. And not just the darkness. We need a lot of darkness for shadows, and the good dark things are fine. Squirrels, you're kind of gray, but whatever. Chipmunks, you have a nice dark stripe. But you dark creatures, you evil creatures that work for whatever you're minions of, You can destroy them tomorrow, maybe in a torturous, horrible way. Oh, this power. I will turn them into inside-out snails or something, I don't know. And then put them in the sun. Yeah, so we'll do that. And then once all the minions are gone, we'll go and we'll open up the trading route, at least halfway, and then we'll find out where whoever they work for is, and then we'll destroy that creature. Oh, this sounds wonderful. This wand feels more powerful than my last one. It's so imbued with energy. Thank you, Agatha, I feel power I've never felt before. My voice is changing. My strength. So what we're going to do, we're not going to go in the woods this way. I notice, there's that other route over the big canyon. So we're going to go out there tomorrow. What we'll do is we'll wait on the bridge, and we'll see if any of the minions come and surrender. And as long as you unleash your power in time, like if we're attacked at once by the minions and the boss or whatever, I mean, that could be a problem. But as long as we'll destroy them while they're in the woods. They don't come out of the woods as far as we know. And whatever the big boss is, he's not going to bother us. He's just waiting in his cave with his treasures and stuff, or her, whatever. Maybe it's a dragon. She might fly around, but from what I've heard, I have a pretty good idea what the big boss is in there. So we're gonna do it, and eventually we'll have the big boss battle. But that'll be after we destroy the minions and destroy the woods. So, okay, let's go home and get some rest. So they go home and get some rest. Meanwhile, the minions obviously are freaked. They don't want to be killed. They get word to their big boss, and the big boss is trying to come up with a plan. So the next morning comes, and Agatha's ready to roll. She gets up, she's stretching, she's got her plan ready. Everything with the fairy godmother seems to be in place, as far as she can tell. Things are looking good. They're just going to go out, I guess. And then she goes downstairs to the main dining room of the Wizard's Tower. No one's there. She's looking around. Penelope, Roland, where are you? Nowhere to be found. She goes out, goes to their bedrooms. They're not there. And then she finds a note in the entrance hall. Oh, change of plans. We're not gonna need to fight the woods of woe. We've got a new plan. We'll be in the courtyard. So she runs down to the courtyard and she sees Roland doing push-ups. And the fairy godmother's there with her wand, her new wand. Agatha's like, what are you guys doing? Oh, well, Penelope came up with a new plan, so we're not gonna fight the boss. That seems a little dangerous. I had nightmares about it. She had nightmares. What do you mean you're not fighting the boss and the minions? That's what Cinderella asked for. Well, now that I have my wand and my power back, we could. I think I'll send some, we could change that all into mice. But I don't see why we need to bother. Well, we need to bother because that's your job. Well, I think we'll go with Roland. He's puffing up his muscles. I liked your plan. There's much less risk, if Roland just does sleep with Cinderella and gets her pregnant. So I think I think I'm going to cheat and just turn him into the prince for a few hours. And tell Cinderella we failed and that she should sleep with the prince. I'll turn the prince into a mouse or a maggot or something for a few hours, and if Roland can successfully impregnate her, then all will be well. And Agatha's like, oh, man, these two. That plan's not going to work. First of all, you can't act that unethically. Your wand will short circuit. We all know that. That's in the fairy handbook I read downstairs. Second, Roland, I doubt you'll be able to perform under those circumstances. You're too good-hearted and good-natured. You two are too moral, this is below you. I mean, this is something I would do, but I'll, if necessary, I'll dirty my hands doing this. But you two, Roland, you're a soldier. a former member of the Queen's Princess Kingsguard or something. Fairy godmother, you're a soldier too. You told me once you'd do what needs to be done, and that's your job. And is this the way you two want to go out? With trickery? Double cross? It's going to be nothing for us to face down these minions of evil and their boss. We'll just go out there. We're going to go out on the bridge. We're going to wait for them. You're going to turn them into mice or something with your magic. And Roland, I'm going to give you a giant broom, and you're going to sweep the mice off the bridge into the water, and they'll drown. Well, that doesn't seem very nice at all. Well, they're minions. They're not real mice, Roland. They're minions. So, and they'll drown, and some be washed out to the river. And we all know that the river's poisoned with all that stuff from that plant and the explosions. So, if they don't drown, they'll be burned by the acids and stuff that was used in that stinky plant. The chemicals will render the soaps. So, and Fairy Godmother, your return to power, don't you want to go out when the Fairy Council examines your case, your successful case, and they speak to your dead parents or whatever, what are they going to say? That you lied your way to victory? Or that you fought your way, and not only that, not only did you keep Cinderella from getting pregnant from the prince, what if that's not your last assignment with her? Will she trust you more when she knows that she'll sense it, a mother knows. I've had 2 daughters of my own. I knew they were mine. I wished they weren't many times, but, Cinderella's like your daughter. Is this what you do to her? They both look sheepishly. She's like, come on, let's go out to the edge of town, and I'll tell you more about my plan. And they get out to the edge of town. She actually has this giant broom. I mean, when she says giant, it's like it's like attached to some rope. I don't know how she did it, but she must have been up all night. She has these ropes connected by this bridge supports, like an overhead, this giant broom that would pretty much looks like it could knock minions off. I mean, not all of them, but easily knock that off. She's got a little harness for Penelope to, be on the bridge, but, not get knocked off by the broom. And, I know it's tough to imagine in your mind. Just imagine a giant broom about Roland's height, the broom brush, and maybe 2 people across, and it's, the head of it is got a big circle and a rope attached to it. Kind of like those cameras now on NBA games. It can go back and forth and swing side to side. When Roland's out there trying to use it, he's learning. He's almost going over the bridge himself. And then she straps Penelope in. She says, don't worry. Even Roland's not going to knock you off the bridge. He might knock you over the bridge, but you won't fall because of these ropes. And all you need to do is change them into mice. When the big boss comes, as he will, you could change him into something, a giant dust mote. Can you do that? Oh no, it has to be, a mammal for a mammal type of thing usually. Well, you turned us into maggots. Oh, I guess it could. Well, it would depend on the size of the boss and what kind of magic powers he has. So, well, let's see. But you're right. This is for Cinderella and for my own pride, now that I have my magic back. I will do justice. Bring on the boss. Are you sure they're going to come? Oh, I'm sure the boss is going to come. And so then down the path comes this long, stick-like creature walking from the horizon out of the Wood of Woe, down to the bridge, onto the bridge about 10 feet from the 3 of them. It says, I've come to ask for your hands and feet. I could say, do I smell peppermint? Is that a giant peppermint stick? Or I think it is a peppermint stick. It turns out it is. It's a giant peppermint stick type ambassador. It's got legs and arms, but it's mostly a peppermint stick. Say, just give us the wand and turn your backs on the wood of woe forever, and you will not be destroyed by his Lord of Darkness, the Candyman. Well, the Candyman? Like, Candyman's in there? Is he make a candy maker or a man of candy? The Candy Lord. Then well, is he made of candy? I think that's a legitimate question to ask. If he's gonna be for surrendering to him, what's he gonna? Will we be able to go free? Well, the Candy Lord, the Candyman, will eventually conquer your kingdom with his once he has the magic of your wand. But for now, you will live, and maybe you could supplicate yourselves, and Candy Lord will take mercy on you. But anyway, the question of whether he's a man or a candy is irrelevant, but he is a man, or once was. I guess it says, oh, so you're going to come conquer Cinderella's kingdom. What do you guys think about that? Oh, you're not going to... I'd lick you to death, buddy. My name's Roland, and I'm going to lick you. Penelope, what do you think? I think not candy stick, Ambassador. But I think it's safe to say that you could tell your Candy Lord we don't surrender. Well, then, I will call in the minions to destroy you, then. Well, 1 second there, Candy Stick Man. Why send the minions? Once you send... Is your lord so afraid of us that he can't face us by himself? Or with his minions? Why doesn't he come with his minions? Because it'll be too easy for us to just... She has the power of 1,000 wizards. And Roland here... As soon as your candy people come, we're just going to change them into... Well, you can't do a mammal for a mammal with candy. How do you become alive? How does a candy stick become alive? Dark magic, ma'am. I'm full of evil candy power. I can't do anything, but it's what keeps me alive is some sort of sickness. A candy... I'm a servant of the Candy Lord. Okay, well, that's nonsense. You guys just sit in your woods and you steal people away. What do? Convert the souls of people into candy? Oh, yes, it's true. I used to be a normal man. I was ambassador of the town of Truffledon. The city-state Truffledon, actually. And I went into the woods with a young woman I loved who was not my wife. Now I'm here to serve forever as proud ambassador of candy, the Candy Lord. Well, anyway, I don't have time to discuss your backstory or the backstory of the Candy Lord at all. Why don't you send him and his minions at the same time? And we'll do battle, the three of us, against your whole army of candy minions and your Candy Lord, the Candy Man, whatever he is. Are you two ready, Roland? Penelope. Quite ready, ma'am. I'm going to do some licking of the candy and sweeping of the candy when it gets changed to littler candy or something candy-like. All right, then. What do you think there? Penelope. Quite ready. So, all of a sudden coming down is a whole army of candy. And I don't have time to get into it. Maybe because now that I'm telling the story, I'm worried that I saw this in a movie somewhere. And if I did, send me Drew, you messed up. Or Scooter, you messed up at feedback at sleepwithmepodcast.com. I know once there was a talking gumball in a movie, I think. But anyway, let's not get out of the flow of the story here. I'm just saying this might have been trapped in my subconscious, this next part. Or maybe it's going to be trapped in yours, but coming down the hill, out of the woods of woe, formerly the woods of worry, is candy sticks with candy canes, gumdrop cannons, all sorts of candy minions. They're all like an army of candy warriors. What else would there be? Go ahead and use your imagination. There could be. If for some reason I'm on a peppermint kick, in my mind I can't free it from peppermint to think of more. Cookies for wheels would be one thing, and probably maybe like catapults full of pudding. Maybe they're gonna do a full scale attack on the castle. I don't know, or these would be more minions. So maybe it's not an army. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm just telling you the story. That would be more of, if you were attacking a castle, you might bring that. But if you're just going to attack 3 people, it might just be more like these candy. What if they're like taffy? Yeah, okay. I don't know if I'm going to keep this or edit it, but now out of the woods comes a gaggle. And a gaggle means a group of about 40. These taffy, they look like ghouls made of taffy, and they're walking, and they're slinking. They can go like a slinky, or they can walk, and their faces are kind of frightening, like a ghoul or a ghost. Kind of empty maw jaw and melted eyes, and they move languidly, like cats or supermodels. And they move onto the bridge, and they just wait. They stop it rolling, and they wait. Well, so what are you going to change this taffy into? This taffy monsters here? And Penelope thinks about it. She said, what would I change taffy into? And she goes, maybe some tiny hard candies. Like when taffy dries out in the sun, and you can just sweep them off. The taffy, you notice a tremble goes through the taffy. Taffy trembles terribly. Terrible taffy trembles, because they're also terrible taffy. That's what they called. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 out of the woods of woe, formerly the woods of worry. A giant man, 10 feet tall, 40 feet wide. A man boy. He has the face of a boy. He's slobbering, drooling, and eating candy, cookies. I want that wand. Boom, boom, boom. Comes down, stops right behind his army on the bridge. They look forward, and he says, ha, 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 ha. Just so you know, my taffy is imbued with a non-hardening agent. Ha, 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 ha. In fact, this taffy is absorption taffy, so go ahead and throw your magic at it. And Penelope looks a little bit worried, but she's like, well, then I'll just change you. He says, I've changed already. And Agatha can't. So you are a candy man. But you're also you lord over candy, but you're a man. You're not a candy man, I'm the candy man. I used to be a boy named by Hansel. Came from one of the countries over there. My sister Gretel and I. We were lured into this woods long ago by a witch. We did battle with her. You may have heard our stories, but you didn't hear the truth. Truth was, I took over the witch's powers, and she took over my mind, somehow poisoned it with her candy. Now, I've eaten candy ever since, and I turned these woods, where she only ruled a dark portion. I turned them all into my territory, the territory of me, the Candy Man. And I would lure souls into this woods, or if you happen to wander in, your family would wonder, where have they gone? Because I would take your soul and put it into the witch's cauldron and convert you to a piece of candy to do my bidding. And my bidding was to make more candy for me to consume without souls, soulless candy, just pure candy, made up. So I would send them out to capture things on the road for the sugar, or the things I needed. But we had quite a few supplies, so it was mostly industrial operation of, we had sugar beets, and we also had some sugar cane. And we had to grow some grains. We did some clear cutting of the forest. But anyway, I'm going to destroy you all. Take your wand. Because my powers are limited to this forest, because that's what the witch's powers were. She would eat boys and little girls, supposedly, to keep her power going. But it can't leave the wood. Just a bit. I think this power that you have will allow me to expand my candy empire. Forever! Then Penelope goes and she goes, "Oh, you won't be doing nothing. You're going to get swept right off the bridge." And she takes her wand and she goes, "Alakazoo, Alakazee, the boy who loves candy turns into a tree." She points her wand at him and nothing happens. He goes, "Wah, ah, 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 ah. I have a candy coating that I thought might be magic proof, but I was not sure." She said, No, I'm quite sure fairy magic overcomes witch magic quite. I mean, this wand is not, it's not operating properly. "I will take you all. Taffy, prepare to destroy this man here with his broom. And I will take your wand. Ha. And he gets ready. The candy soldiers, they pull out their taffy ghouls. They turn their hands into nooses and whips, and they're menacingly moving towards Roland. And he actually knocks one off with the broom. He pulls it back and throws it at the guy. He goes, "Come on, Mistress Penelope, please." "Taffy soldiers made of sugar. You might be resistant, but turn into booger." And there she goes. No, obviously, nothing happens because that's just ridiculous. But she's like, "My power." And then Agatha says, Penelope, destroy the bridge. Use your magic to destroy the bridge. In 5, 4. Penelope goes, "Bridge underneath, made of wood, turn into dust as all bridges should. 2, 1, boom!" And at the same time as she says dust, the bridge explodes. It doesn't, parts of it turn into dust, but most of it just crumbles and falls. But Penelope and Roland, because they are tied in to the thing that was running across over the bridge, because their ropes were tied into some of the supports above the bridge, they just float in the air and the bridge falls. And the Candy Man, Lord Candy, and all his minions fall thousands of feet. They're smashed on the rocks and washed into the river. They screamed, "Ah! I can't swim!" Ah! And the taffy melts, and they're washed down the river to the polluted part of the river, never to be heard from again. Agatha pulls Roland and uses her ropes and pulleys and such to... It was almost like they're... whatever, that's not part. She uses the ropes and pulleys to pull them back to the side of the bridge that's not blown up. And now this bridge is unnecessary because it was ran by the candy wood. It was the bridge that went over the part that skirted around the left side of the candy wood. So even though it's gone, nobody's going to miss it. She's like, "That was brilliant. Roland, you were so brave. And Penelope, your magic was so magical. I couldn't believe that. We worked as such a team. Roland, you were distracting, and those questions about candy and whatever were brilliant. Cinderella would be honored to bed you, I'm sure." "Ah, Penelope, you did find your power again." "Yes, it was odd, because usually it didn't quite turn into dust. It kind of exploded a bit, and I noticed you weren't doing much up there. You didn't seem to be doing much except you had that plunger, that thing. What was that tool you had up there on the rocks with the wires going down to the bottom of the bridge? Oh, that was to control the broom. It's a Chinese operation used it. And I don't know why it smells. There's still fire going. Like I didn't use any fire in my spell. It was just turned to dust. Well, it did kind of turn to dust, Penelope. It was brilliant. You're brilliant. Your magic, you're still getting used to your new wand. So, but point is, we won. We're gonna go back and tell Cinderella that her new trade route is open, and that she no longer. I don't know how we're gonna get. We'll have to probably still have Roland seduce her, but no trickery, Roland. You will seduce her, or maybe I don't know. But oh wait, is that the Chamber of Commerce is coming out to greet us? Oh, there's cheering in a parade, and they're coming towards us. The Chamber of Commerce comes with a band, and tons of people are cheering. The head of the Chamber of Commerce, this business guy, is like, "Oh, yes, we know. We heard the words. Princess Cinderella told us you were going to destroy the big boss behind the Wood of Woe, formerly the Wood of Fury, but Wood of Woe, officially known now forever. It will no longer woe us, will it? Well, I suppose we'll have to clean it out a bit, but yes, all Cinderella's plans came. We worked together as a team for Cinderella, and the Wood of Woe should worry no one no more. Well, this is wonderful. We'll have open trade. It'd be so much more efficient. There's poor folk back here that are cheering. We've given them a job for the day, and they're happy because the grain price. Well, the price will increase less quickly now for your grain, poor folk. All right, and the rest of the products you buy, well, the price will go up more slowly than quickly, because we won't have a reason to justify it, and the princess is talking about some price controls and such, and she's forced us to do this. But she has told us that our profits will be offset by the lower prices and the speed to market and the new markets that open up, so we could exploit other peoples than these folks here. So anyway, we're so pleased with you and Cinderella. She is a visionary woman. I'm still getting over the fact that we're going to use these other markets to offset our profits, and we still need to do some calculations. I do believe that she will be a worthy queen one day. And this prince, he talks of war now, but anyway, we're here to celebrate your victory. That's right. This isn't about you or the future. Run along, parade. As Agatha's talking right now, even though she sounds a bit like a man. She's like, Roland, I'm proud of you. Penelope, I'm proud of you. Let's go back to the Wizard's Tower. We'll have a little drink to celebrate our victory today, and then we'll go meet with Cinderella and talk about the future. And that's it for tonight, folks. A battle with the boss. I wonder with the Hansel and Gretel, was that something implanted in my brain from like a Shrek movie? Or did I actually make it up? Like it's hard creating these stories the way I do and not knowing, and I'm not trying to steal anything from anybody. I might have made it up. It might have been in my subconscious. I'm trying to imagine it'd be hard to imagine I haven't come across a recreation of Hansel and Gretel. But was he a big boss, and was he evil? And what happened to Gretel in this story? I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure we'll see. Well, a dog's barking in the distance, and that means it's time for you to go to sleep. If you're still listening, go ahead. Wonder where Gretel is. I can tell you. Maybe she's safe in bed, asleep somewhere, sound, just like you. Good night. As our episode starts out, the entire village is a Twitter. And a Twitter doesn't mean on Twitter, it means like chitter-chattering. Because the night before, the king and the queen were defenestrated? I don't know. I know somebody will correct me. Defenestration. They were killed in an act of defenestration, I guess would be the night before. The king and the queen were killed in an act of defenestration, meaning they were thrown out of their window of the castle to their death. And their bodies were found with soap, bars of soap stuffed in their mouths. And since their discovery, talk of war with the city on the other side of the former woods of woe, Barun. Now, the prince suspects that Barun's spies have snuck in through the former woods of woe and killed his parents because of the threat of them emerging into their markets and taking over. The prince, along with his trusted advisors, have decided that they need to invade Barun to secure the port and secure themselves for safety, or else the prince could be next. And the prince is on his way over to the wizard's tower to talk to his wizard, the Mistress Agatha, or as we know her, the stepmother. He knocks on the wizard's tower door. Mistress Agatha, Mistress Agatha. And Mistress Agatha opens up the door and ushers him to the sitting room. He takes a seat, and just on the other side of a tapestry, listening in, is, of course, the fairy godmother and Roland. And Mistress Agatha, my liege, my prince. She gets down on her knees. She's like, oh, what can I do at this time of heavy heart? I'm so sorry to hear of your parents' untimely demise and their murder. Well, Mistress Agatha, I appreciate your kind words, but this is no time for pleasantries or heavy hearts. It's time to wield a heavy hand, a hand heavy with sword, against those monsters in Barun that have taken my parents' lives and plan to take all our lives, is what I believe. Agatha sits quietly for a second and thinks. Oh, well, yes, Princess. Prince, I respect your call to action in memory of your father and dearest mother. How can you be sure that the people of Barun perpetrated this act, the kingdom of Barun? Well, I spoke with my advisors, and that's the only sensible thing. Like, no one from this kingdom, my mother and father were beloved, and so am I. I'm the most beloved prince currently in princedom. Now I'd be king. No, so those outsiders from Barun, angry. And they looked at the opportunity where you defeated the boss of the Wood of Woe to send their spies right in and out in cover of darkness before we had secured the forest for ourselves. Which, if I had known, if Cinderella didn't even inform me you were clearing out the Wood of Woe, I would have established a garrison on the road. But alas, it is only sensible, like, and they want to tax all our use of that port. They don't want to open their markets to free trade. I've talked to the members of our kingdom, and overly concerned. They want to flood our market with cheap salts and such. And the most telling thing is the soap in my parents' mouth. It was made in Barun, I believe, a sign of their domination. Well, actually, Prince, the soap was made by this former soap maker out in the valley. He is no longer with us, but I did hear that it was the former royal soaps. I can't remember the name of it anymore, but there's some fancy soaps that only the king and queen. Are you sure it's not some sort of uprising that you could quell among your people? Like, Mrs. Agatha, you question my judgment, the judgment of my council, because you do not sit on my council. You merely serve at the discretion of the king. Oh, my prince, take no offense. My ignorant words, I'm merely a wizard woman, not worldly, and not wise. So, I give you my silence, dear king. Well, the reason I'm here, Mistress Agatha, is you need to prepare for battle. For you will be at the head of my forces as we go into Barun. No, the walls are known as the walls of woe. Well, they were, but I mean, and now that Cinderella changed the woods of woe to woe, the walls of weeping. The walls of weeping women. Because the women will weep when their men go to the walls and are killed or something. I don't know. The walls of weeping women, anyway. Because no force has ever conquered those walls. But I know. With you at my side, Mistress Agatha, you could just knock down those walls with your wizard-like powers and we'll be in and no problem. Is that a definite... Well, okay, my prince, I'll need about a month or two. Yes, my prince. If you just give me some time to formulate a plan, arrange for the proper magics. You know, I need some newts and some toe-eyed falcons and such. And dragons' tears. Once I gather those, it'll take me a month or two, then we'll be right on invading. No! Mr. Agatha, you need to be ready now. We will strike when they least expect it. We'll invade them, and we will destroy them. You will be ready tomorrow, or when I call you. Oh, and by the way, Cinderella needs to see you about something or other. She prefers you in your matronly assistant's form or something. Go see her. Good day. And with that, the prince stormed off. As soon as the prince stormed off, the fairy godmother and Roland came out of hiding. Stepmother turns to him and is like, "Oh, this is no good. Wish Cinderella would have told us that she was planning on launching a land war with this opening of the Woods of Woe. This couldn't... Cinderella, the Cinderella I raised, well, I guess I did raise her in a bed of cinders. Maybe she is blood-hungry. Blood? Isn't it bloodthirsty, Mom? Wouldn't you be bloodthirsty as opposed to blood-hungry? Roland, silence. Well, what are we going to do about this, you two? We don't have the wand. So I'm not leading any army against the walls of weeping women. Oh, my. What do you two think? Well, I'm just worried about Cinderella, Mom. You think she'll be a weeping woman? Wait a second. Is the prince going to go over those walls of weeping? Would he be... No, the prince will be sitting back in his castle. At best, he'll be at the back of the army. He's not a... I doubt we'll get him killed, Roland. I'm sorry. You know, fairy godmother, what do you think? Well, it truly is no good, and I was just wondering, Cinderella's been... With the opening of the Woods of Woe, did she really want free commerce, or did she have a plan, or is this an unintended consequence? I would love to speak to dear Cinderella and just comfort her. She must be worried about her people and her prince. This beautiful prince, he smelled of lilacs and lavender and a bit of spices of old. Anyway, fairy godmother, come on. Normally, we could talk to Cinderella. I mean, when I would deal with my husbands or gentlemen callers, just withhold sex for a while, and then be like, okay, well, we won't be sleeping together, dear, unless till you think about my opinion. You know, I just think we should wait a little while to invade Baron. But if you want to do it in a hurry, go ahead, but you no longer share my bed. You'll need to sleep somewhere else with the dogs or the pigs or whatever, depending on, you know, the various places I've lived these past years. Well, what are we going to do? Agatha, it's me, Penelope. I'm thinking. Now, you would need to trust me in this, but I think I have a plan. Your sexy talk is... thinking of the prince. You know, I have an idea, but you'd have to trust me. I need to go see Cinderella myself. trust you, you trusting-faced, kindly-looking woman. I'd never trust... Well, I did use you as bait in the last battle with the... I was bait? Yeah, so you were supposed to stand on the bridge and attract the big boss and his minions, and then I blew up the bridge. Well, I thought I blew up the bridge with my new wand and my new powers. No, I told you that to trick you. But I could use you. I knew the plan would work, or I was relatively sure that I'd be able to blow up the bridge, and the minions and the big boss would be on the bridge, and then it would go down, and I had you and Roland strapped in quite nicely. I figured you'd be safe. The big boss is dead, and his minions are gone. So, wow, you really are a monster. But, so now you owe me trust, I guess, so I'll go see Cinderella. Well, I guess I do. You know, we're sounding so similar. Is it because we spend so much time together? As the stepmother, I must say, why don't you go and see Cinderella? So Fairy Godmother goes off to see Cinderella. And as we've covered in previous episodes, Cinderella, you know, used to think the Fairy Godmother and stepmother, when she was just a Cinder girl, that they were separate people. But since she went to the castle, the stepmother tricked her into thinking that she was both the stepmother and the Fairy Godmother, and because she was a wizard, the stepmother, that she could appear in either form. And the Fairy Godmother has done none to dissuade that lie. But, so she goes up to the castle, princess's wing, or whatever you want to call it. And, knock, knock, knock. I'm here to see the princess. Says Cinderella. Have a seat. I never know why you come in one garb or the other to see me. But I'm not pleased at all with my husband. He's boggled up all my plans. I'd opened the woods of woe. I'd already made deals with most of the merchants of Barun, which would create job opportunities, new markets, lower prices. Of course, you know, we were going to levy some import and export taxes for some of my social programs. And then now the prince's parents were killed. And the soap to me is a clear sign it's not it's an inside job. Prince's parents were killed by the king and queen. Rest their souls. King is just a lower lord anyway, the last only available. Anyway, they were nice folks anyway. Can't. You know, they were obviously killed by their people, rich or poor. Now, starting this talk of war, it could have been a setup from, you know, some of these well-to-do types to start this war. I mean, they sell their weapons and such. I don't know. But anyway, this is all nonsense, and the prince is mucking my plans up, and I'm not too pleased about it. And I'm not sure even what to do. If he starts this war, people will be killed. It's the wall of wailing women. I'm thinking of renaming it the Wall of Wishes Wasted. You know, all the dreams dashed. The dreams dashed, but there's no D at wall. The diameter, I don't know. The wall of dreams dashed. The dangers of dreams dashed. Maybe I'll write that a poem. Anyway, dear step fairy godmother, Mistress Agatha, I'm at a loss of what to do to stop this war. Prince, well, that's what I was thinking, my dear. Have a seat. Are you still keeping your tides and moon calendar about the changes in your body monthly, as I've taught you? Yes, I have. It's become habitual, so I do it every morning. I keep track of how my body is, you know, the cycles you taught me about. Yes, I do. It's a monthly habit, so I keep track on my calendar every month. And where are you in the cycles? Is your moon full? Or is your moon close to full? Or is it far from full? It is far from full right now, so it is a time when I am not able to bear a child, most likely, right? Right, so I've taught you to avoid sleeping with the prince, correct? And using proper precautions, but lately I've just said stay away from him. Yes, I know I've desired the prince, but you've kept up on all these tasks I've given you, so I've not sexed the prince. Or made love, as the proper folks call it. And, I have desires within me, but you have taught me to quell those as well. Well, dear, what would you say to going a few rounds with the prince and seeing if you can't flood his mind or relieve him? Maybe his aggression is a part of his frustration. As the prince come on to you, he's kind of given up. You're right. So maybe a little play with the little prince. I don't know. It changes the men. I'm told, makes them more malleable. So maybe if you spend some time with the prince, just go ahead and see, okay? And then I'll come meet with you soon. Well, and maybe you could even go out on the road. Don't go into harm's way, but if he takes us out on the road to Barun, even out on the road, keep him entertained a bit. Make sure you are his princess, his queen. He's going to want a son soon, so why don't you give him the illusion you're ready to bear one? That this is the time, even though it's the new moon. Oh, you are so wise. I will do that, okay? And good day. And thank you so for coming, stepmother. I'm sorry that I've always had such harsh words for you, and my confusion still to trust you in this form or that form, or neither. But I think my heart has grown fond of you as a whole, and I see you as a warrior now, and one that deserves my kindness and honor. So here, let me hug you. Oh, okay. And be off now. Okay? Good day. So Fairy Godmother goes off and goes back to the wizard's tower. She gets back to the wizard's tower. Agatha and Roland are waiting for her. And then she comes in. She's like, okay. How'd it go? Is Cinderella okay? Is everything okay? Roland, you'll need to leave us alone. You need to speak to Agatha, woman to woman. Okay. Roland, it'd probably be best if you go prepare your armor and stuff for war. Okay, Mr. Penelope. Okay. I'll do so. Mistress Penelope, how did it go with Cinderella? Well, it went quite nice, thank you for asking, Agatha. She sends her hugs and love to us both as one. Well, I've been here picking my brain, I'll be honest. Trying to come at now. The only thing I can think of is you tried to sneak your wand out, but I know Cinderella has hidden it because I tried to break into her room a few times, but I don't know. It's like she's going to get a wand, or is she going to... I couldn't figure out what's your plan. Oh, you didn't figure out my plan, did you? Agatha, you're not the only one who understands the sexy time, so let's talk about sex. Baby. What the... Have you been turned into a tart while I was gone? No. Here's the plan. It's quite simple. I'm encouraging Cinderella to have sex with the prince. You see, this is her time of the month when her body is unprepared or unripe, as a nastier person might put it. The chances of her bearing a child are low to almost nothing. We've both been keeping quite good track of this. And so, she will be having sex with the prince, or making love, whatever you want to term it. Okay, I'm with you there. And then withhold it? That's not a... No. How you forget, even though the chances, if you make it into as an Archimedes or one of those, I don't know, one of those people that use those abacuses or whatever might say, the percentage It's low, but it's not nil. Okay. So there is a chance, a devastatingly dangerous chance, she could get pregnant, though it's unlikely. And the fairy world has no choice but to respond as if I've failed them and make that chance nil. Oh, okay, so what are you saying? So they won't take half measures. Something is coming. Some sort of response. And I don't believe still they have the power to kill the prince or the princess. I mean, they might kill us. I doubt it, but it's coming. Right now, she might be making sweet love to the prince, and the fairy universe is crafting a response as if I've failed at my job. So I've put my wand on the line for you once again, for all of us. Wow, that plan is brilliant. I mean, as long as they don't send like some sort of parasite that just kills the three of us and, renders the prince invirile or something. Yes, I know. I've thought of that, but really, I mean, if we charge up to the walls of dreams dashed, or whatever the wailing, weeping, or whatever the prince he's no general. Most of his soldiers are fat and tired. He's going to cost many men's their lives. The empire may fall. I guess maybe I should do it but I love Cinderella so. And I don't want the prince hurt at all either. I mean, physically. So as much as I distaste him making love to Cinderella, I must do what's best for her and for us. I mean, we could be killed just as easily, and then who's going to watch over Cinderella if not the three of us and do her bidding? Wow, I really respect you, Penelope. It's brilliant. So now we just wait. Roland, you can come in now. Oh, yes, dears. What were you discussing there about Cinderella? I couldn't quite hear it. Oh, Roland, something terrible is going to happen soon. So we just need to sit around the tower and wait for it to happen and be prepared for anything. So, put on your armor and such. I think I have a little bit of another plan, Penelope, if you don't mind me. Because what if I have an idea that they might also try to get us or do something to us? Oh, yes, you just whisper in my ear. We don't need Roland blowing it. All right, Mrs. E, don't tell me the plan. And so they sit in the tower and they craft the rest of the plan. And they wait, and they wait, and they wait. A day and a night go by, and then the next morning, the bells of the town, bells of the city are ringing out. Bong, bong, like from the castle or somewhere. There's a knock at the door. There's a representative of the king at the door of the wizard's tower. He tells Agatha, be prepared to head out to battle when the sun is at its apex. The king expects all to be gathered. All townsfolk and all soldiers to leave for war, and this city will see us off. Well, yeah, that's dumb, to get us out at the sun's apex. That's the hottest part of the day. Comes from the orders of the soon-to-be coronated king. He'll be coronated, and then we'll head off into battle. All right, then, we'll prepare. So they go to prepare, and they go outside, and they get in a wagon. They're all sitting up on this wagon. They got a couple horses, and they get directed towards the front of the gathered soldiers, and they put their wagon up at the front of the gathered soldiers. They're just kind of sitting up there in the wagon. They're sitting up there in the wagon, not doing anything, and then there's a big stage on the side, and there's soldiers gathered, and then all around, the soldiers are the town, city folk, and the king's up there, and the head of the city's church, or the state church, or whoever gives official coronations, the king's up there, and they coronate him. Kind of Cinderella's there, and she's coronated as queen. Nothing too, just a little bit of pomp, a whole lot of circumstance. I don't know, a whole lot of, just kind of dull. I mean, everyone's sitting there sweating. It's high noon. And then suddenly it's unseasonably hot. So not only did he pick noon, but he picked, with his bad luck, just a hot day. It's getting hot, everybody's sweating. A couple of the older soldiers faint and have to get revived. King, after he gets the crown, he calls for silence. He makes this speech, which I won't bother quoting too much. He goes, "Oh, my people, thank you for honoring me, and your honor is I carry forth. My dear people, thank you for your applause. The talk of war and the killing of my parents by this evil town Baron. Don't worry, soon we will quell them. And their walls of woe, weeping, women, dreams dashed. I plan on making a prince in the belly of my bride, my sweet queen, who even glows at this moment with her tender neck and the crook of her sweet, sweet elbows." And Cinderella kind of makes tells him to, "My head is filled with," I don't even know what this word means, but I want to say lugubrious, because that's how I feel, I think. But know that I only go to battle so that we remain the best, and for the best of us to have the best. We would take this town. We would tell the people what to do. We will make sure they aren't taxing our goods. And we'll just take their goods and do what we wish. Maybe some people have to get put out of business or put in jail. But as such, my people, don't worry. I will return in glory. Soldiers may be lost. Yes, you. The faintest will be first. It'll be lost, probably. What's that? The sun's getting dim. As I said to meet at the height of day. Why is the sun getting dim? And he's right. All of a sudden, the sun's kind of dimming, almost like it's almost like there's a sudden eclipse. And none of us were paying attention because we were paying attention to the new king and the coronation. But if we were paying attention, we would have seen something slowly creep over the horizon, like a new moon, and then slowly going through the sun. But it's actually going slower. Faster. Those of us who have seen an eclipse, the sun kind of moves slow across the sky. This thing's moving. So it blocks the sun goes out, and then it comes back in. And hopefully no one was looking at the wrong moment when, it could get your eyeballs burned. But then they realize it's like a giant hunk of earth with a volcano on it. It was Prince like, what the heck is that thing? And Cinderella's like, well, looks like, that's odd. That's a floating volcano. It's like it was torn up out of the earth and it's just floating. Prince is like, what evil is that? Hey, is that some wizard? My witch? What is that? Did you call that for us? And Agatha just sits, they're just sitting in their, they're just sitting in their carriage or whatever, staring straight ahead or whatever I called it earlier or whatever. Yeah, they're just sitting there staring. She doesn't respond. She's just staring straight ahead, her rolling and the stepmother. And then the volcano slowly goes overhead. And it's pretty high up, so, it's not close, but it's definitely, you can feel a sizzle in the air. And you can see lava floating down the sides. And it's obviously some sort of magic that tore it out of the earth and made it fly. Because it looks like, it got scooped up by an ice cream scooper from underneath the earth. So it's got some underground, then the flat part, and then the volcano part. It just floats out. It's floating over there. And the prince is like, all right, move along. What is this act of volcanic flying? Wow, someone shoot an arrow up there. My lord, we can't shoot. That's quite a far way in the sky, my lord. We couldn't possibly, we don't have anything that shoots that high. It looks closer than it is, lord, but if that was actually close, it's bigger than, it's the deception of the Someone have that man killed. Anyway, we need to Which, respond to me. And all of a sudden, like, feel like the air shudders, like because the volcano's probably shuddering. And then you just hear like almost like a giant spitting a seed or something, and you see just a tiny sliver of lava shoots out of the top, goes straight for the carriage containing Agatha, Roland, and the stepmother. Goes right into Roland's head. Vaporizes the entire carriage. Now, of course, everyone's in shock. Even you, dear listeners, might be in shock. Well, I mean, most of the townspeople are in shock. The king's in shock. Cinderella's kind of in shock. But if you're a regular listener, you're like, come on, what's the angle? And yeah, there's an angle. It was decoy. So, somewhere off to the side, Roland and stepmother and Agatha are hiding. Probably dressed. I guess if it was probably dressed as regular. No, they wouldn't be dressed. They're dressed as over with the townspeople, dressed as townspeople. Not farther from the stage are Roland, Agatha, and Penelope. And the soldiers are kind of nervous. All right, move along, Volcano. You took my witch. Then there's another shudder of the air. And another and about 4 or 5 more little slivers of lava shoot out and take out about 15 soldiers. Just vaporize them or melt them. It's quite gross on top of being sudden and absolute. So the soldiers are starting to panic, but they got nowhere to go. The king and the higher, what do you call them, generals types. The knights and these are the foot soldiers that are getting killed. The knights and such, they're all, stand down, and the people are starting to panic. Oh, what was it? This is Baroon. Cinderella's starting to roll her eyes, and she's like, oh, God, like, what is this? And even Agatha kind of leans in and Penelope says, well, this is quite a response. What next? Penelope goes, don't worry. Cinderella will know what to do. Trust us. And then, the prince or the king is just like, be gone, Volcano. Open the gates, we'll storm. You can't move as fast as us, Volcano. We'll outrun you to the gates of Baroon. And then people are, well, what if Baroon's the one that sent the volcano? This is no good. Baroon's sending a volcano. It must have quite a powerful wizard. And then more knights and soldiers. I mean, the army's slowly getting taken out. The volcano's just shooting, taking people out little by little with almost like you'd imagine lasers in modern day. You get hit by a stream of lava, and you get 2 things are going to happen. One, because it's a warm day, because it's noon, the lava's staying hot and not solidifying. So when it hits the person, it's traveling directly through them, melting them, taking them in the lava, and then, either just knocking a little bit of a hole in the ground below it. We happen to be on very thick pavers, so, melting through the pavers. A little bit cooler out, volcano's a little bit higher. Depending on the jet stream, you're going to be hit by a giant lava rock, hot probably still, which will smash you and burn you. So either way, you're going to get hit by a hot lava rock, and that'll destroy. Not a pleasant way to go either. But right now, people are just getting vaporized and panic. And now panic. The king's like, don't panic, everyone, charge. And then as people leave, as soldiers try to charge, they get vaporized. Pretty soon, the whole army is decimated, dead, vaporized, melted. It stinks like high heaven, like burnt flesh and lava. A couple people have been injured by little lava splashes or melted metal splashes. Prince is kind of still sticking to his, be off, all right, Baroon, all right. We will not invade you now that I have no army. You have your way, Baroon. We will step down. We will go back on. We won't go back on our word. We will work with you as equal trade partners. You hear me, Baroon? Baroon!" And then a couple more shudders, and some lava lands by the prince, but, doesn't hit him. Just kind of threatens him. The prince is like, "You! People of my town, you! This thing is not listening to me. You must gather up your fallen comrades, melted swords that don't, I guess they're all melted down. Gather some kind of weapons and we got to Baroon. We gotta do." And the people of the town, finally Cinderella says, "Halt! Halt, all of you. My prince, lava, volcano in the sky, king, you need to listen up, because this is all your fault, my liege. You could have just left the Woods of Woe open, a perfectly good. You had to go. We had the Woods of Woe open. We had a new trading path. You had to go and muck it all up. And now you've angered. You go and declare war on a town that has a volcano weapon. Shouldn't you have done some research at least, Prince? Shouldn't you have done some research before deciding to invade a town? Wouldn't you think they had the walls of wailing women? Oh, you're no king, and you will never bear prince with me. I will never, from 10 minutes ago forward, sleep with you again. My king, you are my king no longer. You are my husband in name only, and I will carve that name from my face or my heart or wherever it's permanently, figuratively placed, because you disgust me. You're no king and you were no prince, and your father was a lower lord that just happened to be. Anyway, I'm ashamed to call you my husband. These people should be ashamed to call you king. And then people start throwing stuff at him. Now, luckily for him, he still has his bodyguards, which aren't soldiers. So they gather around him, and they're deflecting the oranges and rocks. Cinderella says, "You make me sick." And as all this interpersonal drama floats out, what we don't notice is that the volcano's been slowly creeping back until it blocks out the sun again. And the people are, "Ooh," and it's still blocking. It's moving. It's backing away. But when the lights were out, the prince has drawn a dagger. And as the sun comes back, he's got the dagger to Cinderella's throat. And he's like, You were supposed to spawn me. You were nothing but a cinder girl with a glass slipper. You fooled it. You tricked your way into my bed, you monster with your glass slippers. Well, you should know something. I had your glass slipper melted down and made into this knife just in case you ever crossed me. Because all women have crossed me. You and my mother included. And now I know this is you trying to take this from me. You sinner girl. I'm going to take your life because you won't take this crown from my head, even though you have your own crown which says you're queen. I am king, and you are nothing. And looks like he's going to cut throat. At the same time, the town is in shock. The volcano's kind of going off in the distance. You're kind of missing, with this personal drama, it's kind of cool because, how often you've seen a floating volcano with the smoke and the lava bubbling out of the top of it and such, floating off in the distance, but it's beside the point. He holds the thing to his throat, and all of a sudden, rolling in a somersault ball towards him is the fairy godmother. She takes him out, then she kicks him in the stomach. She says, "Cut my throat, you dirty, dirty man." She puts her sizable body between Cinderella and the prince jumps up and dusts himself off. He says, "I'll cut you." And then Roland runs to her side with his sword. And pretends like he's going to draw his sword to protect Cinderella. And Cinderella says, I'd rather kiss this common soldier than kiss your face, you nasty king. And she kisses Roland. And Roland, of course, faints. Prince is shaking with rage, and he holds the knife towards the fairy godmother's neck. She says, Prince, take me for punishment, and I will serve you sexually. And as a servant for all life, if you spare Cinderella, you could treat me as you wish. As a strange mother you love, or as a victim. But you will not hurt Cinderella. I tell you that. You could take my life. But you could take me with you, or you could kill me. I don't know. But leave Cinderella be. Cinderella's kind of taken aback by the bravery of the fairy godmother, and her heart starts to kind of melt the suspicion and the anger she always had towards the stepmother, until she sees a little movement out of the corner of her eye, and then she sees the stepmother looking on in shock, and then she looks at the fairy godmother. She looks at the stepmother, and then the prince sees her looking over her. Mistress Agatha, why do you watch? I thought you were burned to a crisp with your chariot, or whatever you were in, that stagecoach or whatever. I need you to destroy these people. And Agatha shakes you. Prince, you are not worthy of me as your mistress, or your wizardress. These are my people. This brave, puffy woman, and this dunce-like soldier who would give their life to protect a girl that I had in cinders. Cinderella's like, despite all the drama, she's like, what the, these they were two separate women. She's pissed. Prince is pissed. And Prince feels like everybody's turned on him, but his bodyguards are still loyal. And they're massive, efficient, and the reserve soldiers have been called in. And the reserve soldiers have been called in. They're quelling any disruptions in the crowd. The prince says, well then, you've all chosen your fate. Lock them in the wizard's tower. And lock them from the outside, you know what I mean? Lock them up. And I'll decide what to do with them. Probably we'll burn the Cinder Girl and her Cinder family down in the tower of the wizard. Is there any explosives in there, by the way? Would you tell me that if there were? Anyway, lock them up and throw away the key, but don't throw it. Give it to me. And you, townspeople, you will all suffer the same fate. Well, if you don't you'll suffer the same fate if you don't learn that I'm king. Blah! Ah! He does one of those type. Bodyguards escort Cinderella, the queen. Well, and I don't know if she's former queen. I don't know what legal proceedings they have to go through. They escort her, Roland, fairy godmother, and the stepmother, who now have some explaining to do, to the wizard's tower, and they lock them up. Then they quell like I said, well, they can't quell twice. You can't use quell twice. The townspeople, he's like, go back to your homes. The king goes back to the castle to regroup. That's where we're going to leave it off tonight. With quite some drama. I mean, king wanted to invade a foreign town named Baroun. And wow, I mean, there was sex, there was violence, there was volcanoes. This was quite a night, and thank you so much for listening. I hope it wasn't so exciting. That's it. So, hope you get a good night's sleep. Good night. As we pick up there, thrown into the wizard's tower, Cinderella, the queen, Penelope, the fairy godmother, Roland, the dude, and Agatha, the stepmother. And the door is closed, and the king's like, nail the door shut.
We will deal with the four of you. You all disgust me.
And he's still throwing a fit, and he stomps off and muttering about invasions and backstabbers. Meanwhile, these four have been thrown in a room at the worst possible time to throw the four of them in, because, this is one of those elephant in the room type situations when someone's going to give you bad news. You've all been there. There's people you don't want to be alone in a room with. And have to be, after the small talk dies down, you got to be, so that's what we're dealing with here. So after everyone goes to the bathroom or the chamber room and drinks some water or whatever, fritters away a little time, they gather in the main room of the wizard's tower. And they can hear, hammering on the doors and wood piling up. And they're wondering if the prince is going to go through with his promise to burn the tower down. Roland's trying to push the door open, and someone's like, "Oh, Roland, don't bother with that door. They're going to lock us in here." "Well, what do you think they're going to do, Mom? What do you think they're going to do to us?" And then Cinderella sighs. "Oh, well, if he's fool enough, even though you said something about flammable liquids, he'll try to burn this place down, even though it's stone. And everyone knows stone is very hard to burn down without a dragon. He has no dragon. And he'll probably just light a fire and it'll go out. And then he'll probably pour something and hope that there's flammable liquids. I don't know. It's not good, though." The fairy godmother, "Oh, well, maybe the king will let us go. I mean, he could become, the crown has, I've seen it before in many a day. The crown has a strange effect on a man, and he could become a wise and fair king. Quite handsome and wise and fair. And maybe he'll just let us go." It's a possibility. No, it's not a possibility, Penelope. And Cinderella's right. He's going to try to get us somehow. And I'm sure he's crafting some way. And if not, he'll hang us. I mean, he'll burn me because I'm a witch. But the rest of you, he'll hang you or behead you. We'll be punished. We're definitely going to lose our lives if he has his way. Well, then what should we do then? What should we do, Agatha? What do you propose? How shall we escape this tower? I don't know. And I could try to talk to him. I could try to talk some sense into him. He seemed quite miffed. He almost cut Cinderella's throat, so I don't think sending her, to the window to talk to him would be good. Cinderella, what are you doing at that window anyway? Oh, there's some flames across the town, and I don't want to sound egotistical, but I hope the people just abandon the town. The working people. The people that are made to suffer under poor leadership. So maybe they're all gathering to abandon the town. It looks like there's some fires. And I can hear some chattering, but yeah. Go, people! Abandon this town, this city. Go to Barun or someplace else. Start afresh. Take your labor and skills elsewhere, and let this king... Cinderella, I don't think they can hear you. Whew, okay. Well, I, as queen, hate to say this, but, it looks like we're going to have to put things aside, and we're going to have to face facts and have a chat, and it's not going to be comfortable, so let's all have a seat. Okay, Cinderella, my queen, I'd like you to speak up real quick. If, this is the end for all of us. I don't know if you're familiar with this term, but Cinderella, you're in possession of my heart, and I've fallen for you since the moment I laid eyes on you with your front. your back was quite fetching. I saw that a few times, but the first time I saw your eyes, your kind face. So if we're gonna go, I needed you to know that possibly we could be married, if that's something you're interested in. But I just needed to say that. Okay, that's it. I'm sitting down because. Okay, and please do not speak, Cinderella, unless from your sweet, sweet lips, unless. Oh, you're so lovely. And I gotta admit, I've been dreaming about being in the same room as you. And be honest, like wondering, if you smelled like, what you smelled like, and if you wore perfumes or lotions or spices, but you have a sweet smell and natural smell, Cinderella. I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm gonna sit. Okay. Well, Cinderella, it's your stepmother, and I know you're upset. And let's not be rash here. Let's all calm down. No one, Roland. You don't need to throw yourself out the window to prove your love. Don't defenestrate yourself. Or self-fenestrate, I don't know. Is it Can you defenestration? Anyway, Roland, you calm down. Cinderella, mistakes have been made. I, for one, am one of the mistakers. But I don't know what to say, Cinderella. Well, I'll tell you what to start with. Is that fucking volcano? What was with the volcano? And I'm talking to you, plump woman with the sateen hoodie over there. You, the lady that used to have the wand that doesn't got crap now for me. That was supposed to be, oh, I'm so kindly, I've helped the mice. What the fuck was that volcano doing? Volcano, you say? Well, Cinderella, it's, the two of you with your scam, running your scam on me. Oh, we're one person. Oh, I'm your stepmother and your fairy godmother. And I'm you monstrous-faced beast. I mean, you torture me all my childhood after my dad dies. Even while he was, prancing around my house that I lived with my mother and my father. And yeah, I'm carrying a grudge with you. Believe me. And don't give me that. Why don't you take that little wrinkle between your eyes and relax it, because this is... Whew, I'm mad at you and you. You, Roland, you're sweet, okay? And technically you're not even a bad kisser. So if this is the end, maybe we could share a final kiss, okay? And it won't be unpleasant. You're not an unpleasant kisser. And your face and your demeanor is quite tolerable for a head of the Princess's Guard. Former head, I guess. Yeah, I don't know where they vetted you, but you're quite... Okay, don't... What? Why are you getting on your knee? Well, if this is the case that we share a last kiss, I'd like to propose something, Cinderella, and you don't have to wait. You don't have to commit now. But just think about it for the future. For if we go to the river Styx, or the giant deer country, or the land of the bogmen, or whatever you call it, in your heart where we'll go in the afterlife, consider being my wife there. We could be wed. We could be a bride and a groom. Do you think you'd be my wife if we die? Okay. Moving on. I was really hurt. I'll be honest, I tried not to. I was suspicious about this whole, that you were both my stepmother and my fairy godmother. But then I remembered the old days when I was hurting, when I was a cinder girl, and you and your daughters hurt me. And then you came along, swept me off my feet and said, oh, I'm going to put, I'm here to help you. Don't cry. Let me let these birds suckle on your tears and, weave you a dress. And let me pull, you're pulling stuff out of tree trunks. You acted like you cared about me, and apparently you don't. Because the best I can make of this whole situation, I don't know when you two teamed up, but your number one concern is either the prince or my womb, and not me. You're so worried about me not carrying the prince's baby, which thank goodness now, so thank you, inadvertently, thank you. But you acted like you cared about me, and now apparently you're in love with the king. Oh, the king's so great. And you just fly around with your, oh, good. Stepmother, there's a sick part of me that always wanted your love, I guess, inside of me. And I've tried to kill that girl, believe me. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, well, maybe you were like this two-headed beast trying to help me. So why? I just don't get it. Why? Why? Fairy godmother, what were you doing? Why? Well, Cinderella, first of all, I'm a fairy godmother. When I say, oh, hello, Cinderella, I'm your fairy godmother, it's like a royal you're. I'm exclusively only your fairy godmother. What do you think, I was just waiting in that tree trunk? Oh, I hope a ball comes, and I hope a prince comes, so that I can come out of this tree trunk and help the poor little Cinder girl. Now, you were a wonderfully nice girl, and you tolerated a lot. But do you think I was just hanging out in that tree trunk waiting to whisk you off to the ball in some fancy gown so you could get seduced by a prince, and then you could go back, you didn't give it his number or whatever, you didn't even give him your name, and then you go back the next... You think that's what I was just waiting around for? Don't you think I would have come earlier if I was exclusively your fairy godmother, and changed around, like got her, bad attitude tight face, and had her stop throwing lentils at you in the fireplace? So, yeah, I'm a fairy godmother. That's my job. A fairy godmother. I work for the Grander Fairy Council, and I get assignments. My assignments are critical to the functioning and the balance of this universe. And I was sworn at birth. I've been raised to do this job. I am a fairy. There's a fairy code, and at some point along this whole mess, I lost my way. My assignments came through little by little. Get you to the ball. Get you to the ball again. Assist you. Keep you beautiful. Help you with the prince. And then at all costs, my last assignment was, do not let Cinderella be impregnated by the prince. And that's been my mission. I've been working hard. But then you told me to get pregnant by the prince, and I know that was you, because now I can tell, thanks to Mr. Roland, Mr. Kissy Face over here, my sense of smell is heightened, so I can tell the subtle differences in the two of you, and how you're slight. Neither one of you stinks, by the way, okay? That's not what I'm saying, but... So, what I am saying is, this doesn't make any sense. So some fairy council, who's this fairy council? I'd like to speak to someone there. Well, Cinderella, I can't just rush you off. You're not the queen of fairyland. You're the queen here. And you're not doing a heck of a good job of it. And just dragging me across the coals. Yeah, I cared about you. I loved you. Do I wish I could have been your exclusive fairy? You would have probably been top of the list. I've worked for some real charmers. Sworn to secrecy on all that, and actually they erase our minds after each and every mission is complete, so I just know I have residual anger. But, I'm sorry. Okay, Cinderella, I'm sorry that I let you down, and that I got caught up in this whole thing, and I'm probably going to lose, I already lost my wand, I'm probably going to lose my, I was treasurer to the Fairy City Hawkins dance, and that was a coveted spot. So that's gone. So you're not the only one affected here, Cinderella. I'm going to die too. So, la-di-da-da, and that's it. I'm done. Okay, Cinderella, Penelope, and that's her name. You can call her Penelope instead of Fairy Godmother if you prefer. Whew. Okay, Cinderella, I guess I need to come clean here. My intention, Cinderella, to be honest with you, was to win you back. And I know I never won you, I guess to win you. I know I wasn't the best stepmother. And sure, I'll be honest with you, my intention was just to get into the castle and marry a lower lord. I thought there would be more lower lords. But apparently they were all killed off in that fratricide. And your husband's father was the only lower lord left. But whatever, I wanted to get in the castle and live the good life. And now that you are princess and now queen. This is all my fault. It's not Very Good Witch's fault. It's obviously not Roland's fault. They're just pawns in my game to get back at the castle. And I guess you were too when you got hurt. You know, I was hurt too, and I'm not trying to make this like about me. I am, but like since we're elephanting in the room or whatever we want to call it, you forgive everybody else. And you go out of your way to help the poor and the middle class and the working class of this town. Get rid of the bed bugs. Get rid of the smell. Open up the trade routes. What if I don't know why I'm awful to you, Cinderella. And I don't even know if I can't even be sorry for wanting what I want. But I'm not sure. Maybe I wanted a little help, or I don't know. I'm not asking for forgiveness, but I don't know. This death thing has just got me at not being myself. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I deserved it, so I got what I deserved. Or maybe I didn't. I tried to get what I didn't deserve, and now we're all getting what I deserve. Okay, let's take a breather here because, well, Roland, you don't deserve this. You have unrequited love for Cinderella, and you're not very good at very much. I mean, you were excellent at sitting at the front of the castle, and that was when this whole mess started, and all you had to do was check people in to see Cinderella or not. And I wish I could just give you that job back. And I don't know if you're going to get what you want in Cinderella, but maybe there's some fine woman out there. Or maybe, well, you know what, Roland? I can't let you down. Maybe there's one day you'll happen upon Cinderella naked. Oh, really, miss? Or you'll wear down her standards. Fairy Godmother, I can't let you lose your treasurership of the Fairy Sadie Hawkins dance. Or your job. It's my fault. I should be the one going back to Fairyland to be accountable. I'm the one that tricked you and trapped you and had to deal with all these other... had you thrown in jail and thrown in my root cellar and had Roland thrown in jail. I'm guilty, and Cinderella, all she wanted to do was help. All she wanted was love, true love, and when true love either wasn't enough or wasn't real, you tried to love your people as princess. And I really believe, and I think Roland and the Fairy Godmother, we believe you're like, we really see something in you, Cinderella. You're special. You have something. You're going places, as they say. And I can't let that go either. And if you guys didn't notice, maybe this is why I'm being so crazy, is that, you know, the tower's filling with smoke. They've been burning stuff outside. And the poison isn't the smoke that makes you cough. It's the smoke that kills you. Or the invisible stuff or something. I can't remember what somebody told me once. So, here's what's going to happen. Roland, I can't promise you Cinderella. Even Cinderella naked. I probably could promise that too. We'll figure that out. Okay, Roland? Fairy Godmother, Cinderella, I found Fairy Godmother slipping in and out of the forest, going back and forth. Is that where you go back to Fairyland or something? Fairy Godmother, Penelope? Yes, yes. So if I get you your wand, you can go back there and check in, and if your assignment's done, you know, you could you, I don't, yes, yeah, I do need my wand. Cinderella, I'm going to return you to your people somehow, and here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get out of this tower, either through that window or somewhere else, and I'm going to get her wand. I'm going to get back in this tower with the wand and get you guys all out of here. Fairy Godmother, could you take 3 extra to Fairyland if I get that wand? Oh, well, yes, I think I could. I could take you all to Fairyland. You could be my guest. We could have high tea with the mermen. And, I mean, depending on what my punishment is, though. But yes, we could you form a portal to Fairyland in this room? And we could escape from the tower. Well, yes, but as long as I have my wand. Okay. Well, I'm going to get the wand. And if I don't get the wand, I'll lose my life. And I guess it'll be in vain, because as my whole life's been in vain, in pursuit of what I've always felt I deserved and wanted. Which is well, we don't need to get into it. Well, yeah, we don't. And I'm sorry for all this mishmashing of emotions. So I'm going to leave the castle and save you all. Well, what are you gonna, Mom, how are you gonna get out of the castle? Roland, I've been out of the castle many times. I've been trying to get her wand. So Cinderella, just tell me where the wand is, and then we'll go get it. Okay, whisper it in my ear. Oh, I knew it. Strapped to one of your bedposts underneath your bed. Okay. And then I'll fly back in as an eagle or something in about... I asked Penelope need to let... Why don't you guys go near the windows? There's some crossbreeds. Follow me. I'm going to go out the window. You know, as a matter of fact, Roland, why don't you get your sword and see if you can knock out some of these blocks? Maybe they'll land on some of these blockheads. All right, I'm off. And with that, stepmother disappeared into a room and returned in a cloak of gray, the same gray as stone. And then she scaled down the wall. She got to the bottom, and the smoke was kind of like the fire blew out because the king was the one building the fire. So the smoke, caused a little coughing, a little faint dizziness, but the thing blew out. So the king and his advisors and such were standing around arguing with his bodyguards and such of what they were going to do. So she had no problem sneaking off. She snuck back into the castle. She got the wand. She turned herself into a majestic peacock, and she went to the edge of the window of Cinderella's room, high in something called the Princess's Tower. A lot of towers. But yeah, right on the edge of the window of the Princess's Tower. She was about to jump, and Cinderella saw her cross. She said, "Don't do it. Peacocks can't fly." So right as she was about to jump and she was going to spread her plumage, she realized that was a bad idea, so she changed herself into an eagle. Then she flew on eagle's wings, high above the breaking dawn, knowing to shine like the sun on eagle's wings. I know there's a Bette Midler song in there somewhere, but that was a religious song, I believe. But she flew with the wand in her claws, 2 claws, so in case one lost control. And she flew across. She flew into the window. She changed back into a woman that in modern days we might get plastic surgery from all the abuse she takes about her face. And they took the wand and they opened the portal to fairyland. And that's where we're going to stop tonight, folks. The portal to fairyland. What'll happen next? Will it work? What's on the other side of fairyland? I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not exactly jumping through a portal to fairyland. You know, who knows what could happen? So that's where we're going to leave off. Good night. And I hope you get a good night's sleep. Shimmering against one of the walls.